check Hangouts last night, and he hasn't checked them yet. So,
Okay. So we're
so
Good morning,
good morning,
live.
good Monday
both
morning,
of you.
everybody.
We're
Everybody
live.
might have slept in. It was a rough weekend, I guess.
Yeah. Oops, 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 oops.
Oh,
What are
that's
you
your
doing over
reminder.
there?
That was your reminder.
That was my
Right.
reminder. Yes, it was.
Now I'm getting
Oh,
Uh-oh.
what's that
Morning,
now?
Ginger Locks.
Hey, Ginger Locks.
There we go.
There you go, Brian.
Yeah.
Good morning. So today we're going to talk about bucket lists. What
What's on your
everybody's
bucket list?
What's on your bucket list?
What's in your wallet?
What's
Yeah.
in your wallet?
Not
I don't know. I'm
a
sitting
lot
here
of
in my
Not
box.
air.
I
enough
don't even have
money
my
to
wallet.
get anything on my bucket list. That's for sure.
Hi, Ginger.
Morning, Jenna. Jenna,
Morning,
Jenna.
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 Oh my God, it's so hot in this house.
Did everybody sleep good? I slept really good. I kept falling asleep during reruns of the Dead Files.
The Dead Files.
Yeah, there was some
Dead
creepy shit
Files.
in
I
there.
love. Yeah, I got to go back and watch some of those.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
Babe Beauty.
Morning,
Hi,
Bay
Babe
Beauty.
Beauty.
That's my Bay Beauty. Not that
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
have her.
we love Babe. She's a sweetheart.
What kind of coffee you got there, Carla? Just regular coffee?
I'm Walmart coffee. I love Walmart
You
coffee.
like the
And I drink.
Walmart coffee?
I do like Walmart coffee.
I've
It's,
never
I
tried it.
used to drink just McDonald's coffee, and then
Yeah.
we started buying because it was like $10 cheaper to get the Walmart coffee, and I got like a
Sarah's,
taste for the Walmart coffee, and I love it now. I do.
Now wait, $10
Hi,
cheaper.
Queen
What
of
was it?
Hearts.
Free?
Good morning over there
Morning,
in
Queen
the
of Hearts.
States. I see you changed your name again. Can I ask what coalition to stand for? Just a group of I'm just thinking a group of people, and I
Yep.
changed the name because Misdemeanor requested her name be off.
Well, it's your channel. It's your thing. I
Yeah,
think it
and
matched
I
with your
respect that.
membership.
Yeah, I respected that. I respected that. So, did everybody have a great weekend?
I did.
Did you
I,
have a good
Yeah.
weekend?
mine wasn't bad.
Caught
Serendipity's
up
here.
on some
Hi,
honey bunch.
Sarah. Beautiful girl. Sarah's such a
She's
beautiful girl.
gorgeous.
I
She
know.
kind of makes me sick. I kind of don't like her, but I kind of do.
Yeah,
Because she's pretty.
She's so
And
beautiful, the bitch.
she's one of
Bitch.
And she got bitch in her blood?
Oh, Brian, we figured out how to do that green screen this morning. We actually did it.
You did it?
Yeah, well, you have to
Jesus.
put something in the back of you so that the background stays in the background and you're in the forefront.
All you
Good
need is a
morning,
green
Curly
sheet.
girl.
All you need is a green sheet.
Yeah, that's what I had. I put it up to try it out, and you can adjust the
Yeah.
thing. So
The,
I
and then
had a beautiful house this morning with a grand piano and everything. So
if you do it without the sheet, you come up with what I got here. See, I do it without the sheet, and it comes up like that.
right.
That's without the sheet, and then it kind of 3Ds it. See how my hand? But I'm gonna get a green screen that just slides behind me here soon.
It's the
I
coffee
have to
coalition.
hang a sheet behind me here so that it will work. But
Well, some people just snap it like a shower curtain to their ceiling, hang it down, something that's removable. Some people do it like that. Or you can buy those green screens that you just slide behind you and you fold up and put back. You got to have the right lighting too. If the lighting isn't right, it'll screw up on you.
yeah, well, I tried it out this morning and it worked. Yeah, it did work.
Good.
I mean, you have to adjust the opacity or whatever that's called.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, you have to adjust that, but other than that, you can download different backgrounds, or upload different backgrounds. So
yeah.
So,
But if I had as much room in the house as you have, I'd build me a little studio.
Yeah.
I would, where I could keep my green screen up.
I would like to have like a place to just have my desk. But the only extra room I have up there is the room where I have all my crocheting stuff in, and that's got like it's full, and that's got that mirror in there. I just want to be in that
Oh, you're right.
room.
You used to
Did
do.
anybody see Giggles video yesterday? Part of the scary ghost.
Yeah,
Oh my God, was that cute or what?
giggles
That
something
was
else.
cute.
Isn't it?
Oh, Giggles is hilarious. Oh, another thing is, I wanted to send out prayers to Pink Lady Luck.
Yeah,
Also to um, Alicia, Science Girl.
yeah,
Also, Marsha White, Sharkey, Cinderella. Um, Anyone that has suffered a loss
mhm.
or a devastating, tragedy. Uh, Hopefully, Pink Lady Luck's son will be okay. So my heartfelt prayers go out to you, Pink
Yeah,
Lady Luck, and I really mean that. So
yeah, yeah,
that's terrible. And Alicia, my heart goes out to you and your family. I sent her a message on Messenger. So
yeah. It seems like these type of tragedies come in threes, and you don't know what to say to somebody when they suffer.
there really isn't really words, what words do you say to someone that's, lost their brother, lost their mother, lost their, son, like Cinderella? And I can't even imagine losing a child. Um, I just can't.
That's one of my greatest fears.
Oh, I know.
I don't
I
know. Yeah, because you're supposed to outlive your children. You
You're
know,
not supposed to. Yeah, you're
that's
not. Hi, Carrie. Yeah, it's just devastating, and it just seems like it just in the span of 2 weeks, all this stuff happened. And Marcia, my prayers go out to you too for hopefully. I watched a video of hers about a woman that found a baby, and
yep.
you know, did you watch that one?
Yeah,
How that woman was walking her dog, and for some reason that day she took a different route because the pavement was really hot.
imagine
She took a
that.
different route, and she started hearing this crying coming from a garbage can. And she opened up the garbage can, and it was a little baby boy tied up with an umbilical cord still wrapped around his neck.
Mhm.
And had he stayed in there for another couple minutes, he would have expired because,
It's interesting how it's interesting how she decided to take a different route because it was too hot,
mm-hmm.
and she wouldn't have took that route. In my opinion, that's divine intervention,
Morning, Ams.
and
Yeah, it is. And I really think there's such thing as miracles. I
yeah,
really do.
yeah. Because if she, like I said, if she wouldn't have took that route, she may not have found that child, and
The child would have died, maybe
and
not been
I don't
found.
know how long the baby had been in there, but it couldn't have been very long with the umbilical cord.
Yeah, the umbilical cord was still wrapped around.
Yeah, and then the dirt that's in there, that's inside of a dumpster. He couldn't, maybe wouldn't have lived that long at all. And
And yeah, and it was so wrapped up tight in that plastic bag, that the woman couldn't hardly get it open. So she ran to get some people to help her, open it up. And she cradled it, and she sang "Jesus Loves You" to the baby the whole time until the police came. Oh, I was so emotional when I read that story, when I watched that story. Like, it was just like she cradled the baby and sang "Jesus Loves You" the whole
you,
time she cradled them.
yeah, yeah. At first thought on that, you would think that that's a terrible way to start your life. But if you think about it, it's really not.
Right?
It's really not the way that it happened. It's really not, because there's going to be divine intervention all through this child's life now.
Yeah, I think
It's being chosen.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. It was just, it was just like what got me, like, kind of emotional was when she said she held the baby, rocked him, and sang "Jesus loves you" to the baby.
Yeah, yeah.
And they did find the girl that gave birth. They did find her and um, arrested her, and she's 21 years old, which is old enough to know better. But in North Carolina, I guess the law is if you want to, give up your child, you have to hand it to another human. Can't just put it on a church doorstep or put it on a hospital. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you have to hand it to another human being. So she decided, for whatever reason, put it in a plastic bag.
Ugh.
Did they? How did they? I wonder how they found the mother.
I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe someone knew she was pregnant and
Yeah.
hi Robbie. Maybe
Robbie.
someone knew she was pregnant and said, this woman that she lost her baby. I don't know. But they found her. She was 21 years old and they arrested her. I don't know what charges she will face. It won't, maybe attempted murder. I don't know.
Well, it should be. Yeah.
Is it attempted murder when you do something like that?
Yeah. Well, just putting the baby in a plastic bag makes it attempted murder alone.
That's what I think too. But
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know the law. So, good morning, Dysfunction Junction.
That's a good screen name, by the way.
I know it is.
I like
Yeah, especially for YouTube.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Wiener, are we going to have to tie you down? What the hell?
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
Let's don't talk about the internet this morning. Let's just don't. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's horrible. I've got to call AT&T at some point today because it's at 0.
Yeah.
It's been at 0 since they installed it. Dish blames AT&T. AT&T blames Dish. I don't know. I've had the
why
Dish
do they,
out
why
here.
do they blame each other? You don't have both of them.
Well,
Yeah,
I've always had bad experiences with that Dish network.
Well, and everybody that we have ever spoken to has said they have bad experiences with Dish. Yet, my husband went shopping without me. Good morning, Serendipity. And he fell prey to their idiocracy and bought the package, which was more than what we were paying for Spectrum. But that's okay because we get more channels that we don't watch. And it gets better because after 90 days, if you get rid of half of what you have, which is probably what would be Spectrum, then it doesn't go up at all. And then if you, in a year, take back all the stuff you had to begin with, then it goes down $10, which is what we were paying for Spectrum in the first damn place. So I just kind of tossed the calendar to him and said, when the bill comes in and it's over $300, you need to run. This is now your responsibility. You're the one who negotiated all of this bullshit. Therefore, you have to keep up with it. And if the bill goes up, I'm going to kill you. And so then yesterday when we had that really bad thunderstorm and rain showers, oh wow, it got loud. He came in and he's like, "Do you have internet?" I'm like, well, "Not that I ever have since you changed the program, but it's worse." Yeah. So.
We had the Dish Network hooked up years ago, and the technician came in and he went through all the process and everything. It was a free installation, and once he got it installed, he come back and he said, "Yeah, there's a $50 installation fee." I said, "No, there's no $50 installation fee. It's not in my contract, and I don't appreciate you doing that." He goes, "Oh no, it's okay. We'll just waive it." I said, "No, because you're trying to bullshit me, dude." I said, "Take all this shit, unhook it, and I'm calling on you." And I called on him, and they terminated him.
Well, and get this. So my husband called Dish the other day to tell him that we don't have on demand, which we're supposed to have with our $10 more payment a month for this setup. And he spent hours on the phone with them, and they got nowhere. He said, "It's not our problem." Mm-hmm. Okay. Alrighty then. Well, come to find out, when he got the thing done initially that day at Sam's, he comes home. There's 2 work orders
Mhm.
So they picked the second work order, the newest one, which negated about half of the money that we were supposed to get from doing the deal, because you're supposed to get like a gift card of some kind.
All right.
Yeah, well, all of a sudden that was cut in half
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't have the original deal.
Uh-huh.
I would have stopped everything right then and there and said, nope, don't come out. Screw you. You're already, not even 24 hours into this, you're already changing the plan.
Yep.
So no, but he didn't. Okay. So they come out, they set everything up. Of course, the AT&T, literally, like when you pull it up on Dish to check your
Hi,
internet,
Sabrina.
it's
Mm-hmm.
on zero. Like it's got a little speedometer. It's
Yep.
on zero. It's
Mm-hmm.
been on zero since the day they put it in. Okay. That's why we're not getting on demand. So he calls them and tells them. They they say it's not their problem. It's AT&T's problem. Okay. Never calls AT&T, but all of a sudden, Dish shows up at my house the other day, just
Uh-huh.
this week, and he's telling me, "Well, I've got a work order." I said, "What are you talking about?" Well, something about you need your boxes replaced. I said, "No, we don't have on demand. Can you fix that?" Oh no, that's AT&T's problem. But do you need these boxes switched out? I said, "No." He
Yeah.
said, "Well, good, because let me tell you, this is what they do. They if you call in, they set up a work order to come and change out all your equipment, and it negates your original deal."
Scammers.
I said, "You know what? This is some fuckery for real." And I said, "Well, this deal with AT&T with no internet the entire time we've had this.
Yeah.
What's up with that?" He goes, I'll be really honest with you. I live in Houston, and we have Dish, and AT&T never could get my internet right. It was slow the house. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, "What did you do?" He goes, "I went back to Spectrum Internet."
Ah.
I said, "Gotcha." And he did not do the work order. He canceled that. So we didn't lose our wonderful deal that we signed up for. But yeah, today after the live, I'm going to be calling AT&T. I should tape it. You should hear how to deal with people like this,
Yeah.
because yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll get free service for the next 6 months if I play my cards right.
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm done with these people.
Yeah. So that's I just didn't like him from that guy trying to come in and get that $50 installation fee when I knew there wasn't one.
That's a good point. Dysfunction junction. I'm tell them I'm going to go to the FCC, and that's exactly what I need to do. Is
Mm-hmm.
say, maybe I should just go ahead and report you guys to the FCC, since you're scamming people, you
Mm-hmm.
pieces of shit.
Pieces of shit.
And AT&T used to be the Mac Daddy before they did the whole monopoly thing and split them up. That was the only one to go to. But back then, it was good service.
Mm-hmm.
When you just had a telephone hanging on the wall, and that's all you had to deal with.
That's
Not
it.
so much more. What are y'all doing over there?
I don't know.
Fighting over the bed. Okay.
Oh, the dogs. Yeah, my kids don't even know what a dial phone is. When back in the
Right.
day when you had the dial phones and that hung on your wall.
Yep.
Do people still have home phones?
I guess.
It's
Yes.
amazing back in the day when Richard Bronson told everybody, someday you'll be able to communicate with each other by only using your thumbs, and
Well, there you go.
and everybody thought he was ignorant. And he was
Not
the
so
one that came up.
much.
Yeah, that's Virgin Mobile. He was the one that came up with texting. Everybody thought he
Yep.
was ignorant for that. And now look at him. He owns an island, and Mariah Carey stops by.
Yep. Right. Right. But is his island anything like Jeffrey Epstein's? Since everything he touches is virgin, I'm just gonna put that out there.
I'm going to try and show you guys something I did yesterday.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if I could do this.
What
Hang
are you
on.
doing? You doing something scary?
I have to go to Chrome tag.
Uh-oh.
No. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to learn how to do this stupid share thing.
Yeah, you almost.
Oh,
Doesn't
share
say
screen.
anything. Yeah, the share screen.
Well, be
Sarah,
sure.
Is it showing anything?
Be
Is
sure
it
you only
showing
have.
anything?
I was,
Is it showing anything?
no.
Shut up.
Yeah. There
It
you go.
isn't?
It is
Is
now.
it showing? Is it showing anything? Is it showing anything?
Well, I don't know because my whole
is
my
it showing
screen is
anything?
like,
Show today.
I see a white screen, and you got your gallery up, so you might want to be careful.
Yeah. Friend.
There you go.
Yay.
did it show it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I did
look at
that yesterday all by my lonesome. How do I get rid of it? Oh.
Uh-oh.
How do I
Sarah,
get
we
rid of
moved
it?
to.
How do I get rid of it?
Stop share.
I can't find my stop share.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, there it is.
Carla,
Stop screen. Okay, there we go.
Carla,
So I did that yesterday, but I don't know how to do. Like, I want to do an intro into my channel, but I don't know how to do that.
if Robbie's still in here, we got to work with him and see if he can do a Carla in your cup song.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't
I
like
want
that. Oh.
No, only when you say it.
The best part of waking up.
Really? Really? Y'all saw that word friend up there, didn't y'all?
Yes. Yes. I tried. It's very short. I know it's very short, but
You can always add to it.
I don't know how to do all that stuff. I just know how to do a few things on here. I'm just learning. I'm learning.
Well,
Sarah, I remember we had 2 home phones, 2 different numbers, and I remember those numbers to this day. That was a long, long time ago. Back in the dark ages.
You know who offered to do intro for me is Monkey Mar. He said,
"Okay, I'm not singing a song ever again. Y'all can't make me do it. I won't do it. Nope." But I didn't sing it. I would just sing it.
Wait. Okay. Well, let's wait for a few more people to get in here.
M says that song makes me cringe. The Folgers song.
Screencast-O-Matic.
Yeah, try
I
that.
think I got that. I actually got that, but I gotta. I figure out how to use it. Every time I get something new, I can't. I have to play with it.
Screencast-O-Matic takes a minute to learn how to use, but once you learn how to use it, it's easy.
But see, I want it before I go live in the morning that it comes up. Like, you know what I mean? Like it comes up on my
intro.
Or like an intro before I start.
You would kind of have to be live with the screen share to get that to work, and you'd have to give yourself a certain amount of time. Like if you know your intro is going to run 3 minutes, then that's when you know that you can pop on.
Oh, okay.
I've had a couple of them. I like it. People like it.
Or you can talk to Isaac and see how he does his 45 minutes worth of screaming hard rock head slamming intro.
Oh, you talking about Be Our Guest?
Yes.
He does that. He does that because he wants people to. His is too long, but he
hate him. Hate him. Yeah, it's working. Just saying.
Oh, just like M says, just because I love coffee and I don't want to think about weird parts of Carla in my cup.
Oh. Well, the Folgers song kind of triggers people a lot too because
hallelujah.
I can think of
that kind of made me cringe too. Carla in your cup. Like, what am I picture myself sitting in a cup.
Like, oh yeah.
I'll tell you one of my bucket lists. I'm just going to start this off. We can peruse through it throughout the entire live. One of my top ones is to go and visit my old home in Nashville. Like go inside, see what they've done with it. I mean, have y'all ever thought about wanting to do that? Like where you grew up?
Going back to
I've Google mapped just about all of the homes that
you've ever lived in.
Yeah, and you miss them. You know,
like part,
especially when it will probably bring back memories. You know, like do you ever wonder? You ever sit back and wonder, you know, who's living there? If there's kids living there, and what they're doing. You know.
Misdemeanor.
They're all inside playing with their tablets now. We all played outside.
Misdemeanor. We used to live on Teaneck Drive in Houston. If you know, where that Teaneck.
I do not know that one.
It's right
Houston's
there.
It's a big place. I don't know if you've noticed.
That's why I said if you know that one. It's right there by Burnett Elementary is right behind it.
I don't know that one either. Yeah. I've lived the least amount of time in Texas in my entire life.
Good morning, Smokey. Yeah. Where is the link? You want to come up, Smoke? We're talking about bucket list this morning. Your bucket list. I have a bucket list, and believe it or not, and this might sound weird to some of you, I want to go deep sea fishing. Like I want to go on a boat, like in the ocean, and try deep sea fishing. I love fishing. I don't know. That might sound weird to some of you, but I do love fishing. So
I don't know.
that's something on mine.
Well, that's something that's a real possibility, you know, if you really wanted to do that.
Oh, I think so. But Misdemeanor says, do you get seasick? I don't know. I honestly don't. Oh my God.
What I'm scared of, Ends, is where our old house is.
Do you see Smokey?
Smokey went to Party City.
Who you supposed to be there, Smokey?
I hadn't named them yet.
Set up. It says, hello, I'm a rock star.
I'm a rocker. I'm ready to party hardy.
He said, say don't drink and drive. You have to do a commercial just like this one.
Indeed. I'm here to entertain.
Did you get the guitar with it too?
I got all types of shit, dog. I got a couple costumes. I didn't get a guitar with it because I just started grabbing shit.
I got the same one.
I like it. I like it a lot.
What's Laura doing on panel?
Oh, cool.
Oh,
ouch.
That's going to leave a mark.
Tomato.
It
was only a tomato.
Thank you, Captain Obvious. I would love that.
Hi, Jenna.
Deep lake fishing with Captain Obvious.
Come on.
Smokey, you look kind of like, I don't know, you look like Sammy Hagar right now.
Rock on, dude.
Far out, man.
I got another one for you. I'll show you another one in a sec. I got to name these two people, so I haven't got a name for them.
Name that rock star.
Yeah, let me show you. I got another one for you. Hold on a second.
All right. Oh, boy.
He does say Sammy Hagar on it. Okay, I just noticed that. That's what you look like. 1, 2, 3 lock box. I think Smokey's a little bit crazy, y'all. I'm gonna talk shit about him while he's not on.
A little bit.
I got that set up one day and I did a live and people came in and they were shooting music questions at me and I just banged them out, but YouTube took it down because we played too many songs.
Oh, damn YouTube. They're always like
good. Everybody cracking. I had 500 people in there with that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Einstein.
This is my Einstein Andy Warhol look. Warhol.
Yeah.
Rock out.
Oh my God. The glasses.
You have a red one?
You look like Thomas Dolby.
You have the Chucky one?
Did you get the Chucky one?
No, I don't got a Chucky one. There was a costume there that was Chucky.
Yep.
Was.
Oh man, I got to get that.
Yeah, Pink Lady Luck is the one. Pink Lady Luck is the one that introduced Party City to YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, are you a judge now?
I got my gavel. This is like order in the court.
Misdemeanor's mother looks like Judge Judy. She's just like Judge Judy.
Oh, she acts like her too. Just so you know.
She acts like her too. Yeah.
So
she
we got to name this
things.
one too. I don't know what I'm going to name this one either.
I don't know, Smokey. That was Smokey's doing his bucket list right now.
Oh, you need that for your Wednesday nights. You need that.
Yeah, that's what I got the gavel for.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like next, bang.
Smokey.
Order in the court. Move on. Everybody be quiet.
You need to panel up with Mel.
I know that's what is it? Pookie T said that. Yeah, it said that we're gonna be going. Yeah, it's on. I just got to email her.
Yeah, Mel.
You subscribers in here, you need to go to Smokey's on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
We want to see more subscribers up on the panel.
Rock on. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah, we want to hear from you guys.
Yeah. Last week it worked out pretty well, but there were.
Yeah, it did work out well. I'm just saying, there's subscribers that haven't ever been on a panel, and I think the more they go over there, they will see that it's not as scary as it seems.
No, it's not. And they can come up anonymous.
Yep, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
and a lot of people don't want,
And then be sure and use his email that he has out for that.
Subs lives matter at yahoo.com. That's a
that
fact.
way, if you don't want to speak and you don't want people to hear your voice, he can read it out if it's appropriate. He can read it out, and then you'll still have that voice. Smokey's perfect for that. He is really.
Yeah, and I think if it's against like a creator or whatever, you could allow, or another sub, you could allow them up to address it, or defend themselves or whatever. Even if that person doesn't want to come up, just explain why. Or
that's right.
Another suggestion, Smokey, is like a time limit, so you can get more people up. You got 4 minutes, you got 5 minutes, and then
that's right.
Stick to the time limit. Let them know when their time is coming up. All right, you got 30 seconds. I'm gonna have to let somebody else up. That way, they won't be pissed at you if you have to drop them.
Dysfunction Junction. He could be Philip Diller.
Philip Diller
instead of Phyllis Diller. Judge Philip Diller presiding over subcourt.
That's good.
Another one was people thought, Emmett Brown off of Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So we were going with Pete, Smokey P. Perky Brown. I don't know. I did a video, and people were putting a lot of suggestions for the characters in there. So I have to adapt the voice for them now too. So pretty soon I'll be talking about these people in the third. I'll be talking about them in the third person.
Like Mel does that. She has a list of characters that she does, and they come to life with her.
Yeah,
you should be Smokey P. Diller, judge over subcourt. Dun, 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 dun. Today's cases.
Smokey, I bet it's hard for you to do a voice impersonation since you got such a thick country slang.
You got it. That's right. That's what I was saying. So people said what I should do is probably go deeper with, a little bit deeper.
Like through Helper.
Smokey, can you do a British? Can you do a British accent really well with that country slang?
I'm pretty good at it.
He said,
I need a wee bit. I need a little bit of practice, but I can whoop it. I like some tea and crumpets.
I bet you crumpets.
In crumpets.
What? No, crimpets. It's crimpets.
Crimpets. I remember that.
Here in the south of Wales or whatever, we call it crumpets.
No, you need to put on the blonde wig, the long blonde wig, and say crimpets.
Crumpets.
Just saying.
Uh-oh. Where is True Helper this morning?
He's sleeping in. I wore him out.
Is it?
Wore him out.
I did. Slap out.
Logic and reason. That's where he's at.
He's resting.
that giggle.
He's sleeping.
So, Smokey,
and help her.
Smokey,
oh, go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, Smokey, do you have a bucket list, Smokey?
A little bit, yeah. I do actually have a bucket list, to be honest with you. Yes.
Stay right here.
He's going to pull out a bucket with a list in it.
No, but I really do got one, but I could pull out a bucket with a list in it. Yes, I could.
What is it, Smokey? Tell us.
I want to go. Here it is. You want to hear it? Really? It's a good one. It's like, I want to go. So I want to go to Egypt, okay, and see the pyramids, and then go up through Europe and do a bunch of World War II stuff, and then end up all over Italy for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Ending in in the middle of the Mediterranean. That's my bucket list, and it will be done. It will be done.
I think I want to be dipped in honey and thrown in a cell in a women's prison.
I think that's a great idea too. That might be second runner up for my shit. I'm game on that.
Brian, what did you say?
I said I want to be dipped in honey and thrown in a cell in a women's prison.
That would be amazing.
Oh my God. Well, a place I'd always wanted to go to is Australia. I really would love to go to Australia. And I would love to go in Australia. I would love to go to, who was that guy that had the zoo in Australia that passed away?
Steve Irwin?
Steve Irwin. I would love to go to his zoo. I can visit. I would love it. Love it, love it, love it.
He spent all his life loving those animals, loving the mammals.
I was so upset. I used to watch him all the time. When he passed away,
I did too.
I was devastated.
I was almost going to say Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the way Crocodile Dundee walked up to people to determine what sex they were. He'd just have to grab them.
He sure did. He would see if she was a Sheila, a dude, or a dudette or something.
Well, he didn't trust. He came over. He didn't trust Americans because because you couldn't tell by looking what you're getting.
Well, he married an American.
Yeah,
he's American.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And his daughter just got married not too long ago. His the one that won Dancing with the Stars. What's her name? Bindi. That's her name, Bindi.
I tell you what. Got married. I'll tell you one thing I'd like to do if I had the money is to drive the Autobahn in a Bentley Continental.
Hell yeah!
I
Yeah.
took a ride on the Autobahn the other day with Richard. Richard was in here and he was driving on the Autobahn, and he had his camera on and we had fun. It was fun.
Dude, that is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Autobahn, there's like places on the Autobahn where there's no speed limit.
Yeah.
No speed and hardly no wrecks. No wrecks.
The Bentley Continental is like one of the fastest luxury cars that you could buy.
Really?
Right.
Yeah. The Continental Bentleys, yeah, they're quick.
Probably really expensive.
Really expensive. You'll pay $200,000 for one, easy.
Yeah, Remy says bump that. I would take. Oh, Queen of Hearts says she's been to Egypt. Wow, I'm jealous.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah, I'm with Sarah. I want to go to the Valley of the Kings.
Me too, dude.
Yeah, that would be cool.
The Valley of the Kings.
That's where all of them are.
The pyramids.
It's a little bit further away from the pyramids, but
ever wonder how those were like built and how long it took to build those things? Because they're huge.
Yeah.
And they were built when they didn't have equipment like we have nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, how did they build those things? A lot of people say it was aliens and hey, girl.
I watched them. I've watched many shows on that. There's really only three ways they could have done it.
Go ahead.
Well, there's really only three ways they could have done it. I ain't gonna try to say I know or anything, but it was either ramps, scaffolding, or digging.
No, what they did, Smokey, is they wet the sand in front of the.
That's right.
They wet the sand and they dragged the bricks one by one across the.
That's it, bro. Hey, they even had it down to it would take 35 grown men to drag a 6-ton stone,
mm-hmm.
and then they had. What they say they had was a staff of 20,000 full-time workers that were there year-round, and then 80,000 seasonal workers, and they lived in a town around the pyramid.
They had. I'm looking at it right now, and it says researchers found a 4,500-year-old ramp system used to haul alabaster stones out of a quarry.
And they just found that too, right?
I'm still looking at it.
Yeah, they even like floor is.
I'm looking at it right now.
It's pretty amazing, like how they figure. You can find the tool marks, and it's just amazing. It's just really amazing.
Yeah. Well, people had to. They had to figure out how to do things back in the day. So.
Sure did.
If you give a man a hard job, he'll find the easiest way to get it done.
What is the 7? Does anybody know the 7 wonders of the world?
Yeah, I know them.
Shit, no.
I'm gonna look at it.
The Sphinx.
The Sphinx, Victoria Falls, Grand Canyon, Stonehenge.
Well, some are the natural wonders and some are man-made wonders. So you have like the Sphinx is a man-made, and then Victoria Falls is like a natural.
This says the 7 wonders are Petra in Jordan, the Taj Mahal in India, the Roman Colosseum, Chichen Itza, Machu Picchu. I don't know what that is. Machu Picchu.
What is that?
I got a place.
The Great Wall of China is one of the man-mades.
Yeah, Great Wall of China is the big one, the biggest one, and then the Christ Redeemer.
Is the Great Wall of China, was that man-made? I don't even know that.
No, it wasn't. God did that, Carla.
Yeah, he wished that shit on there.
But the Christ
Redeemer is man-made. That's in Argentina, isn't it?
Rio de Janeiro.
Venezuela? Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, that's
What, is that statue? That's
that statue that they
huge.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wasn't nobody coming through the
something.
favelas, so they had to make up a tourist attraction, and that's what they did.
The Lighthouse of Alexandria in Egypt is another one. See, Egypt and Greece are in this a lot. Turkey, Egypt, and Greece.
Queen of Hearts said scientists discovered ramp systems, so it's been proven that they are man-made.
Yep.
It's actually cold in my house. It's cold in my house. It's 76 degrees here this morning.
Oh, they estimate it took a century to build. Wow. Like 100 years. Can you imagine? Nowadays, how long would it take? Like a month, couple months?
Yeah. They put up
the equipment that we have now.
It's insane.
Yeah.
One of my other bucket lists is to go to Italy and take cooking lessons.
My bucket list too. We can go together.
Let's go. Come on.
There's a lot of travel involved with bucket lists. There's a lot of travel involved.
Not necessarily. I'd like to go and see Oak Alley and spend the night at the Myrtles. And that's just right down the road.
How about zip lining? Anybody zip lined here?
God, no.
If you do that, you got to go to the longest and the largest in Abu Dhabi.
I've done some rappelling and some rock climbing, but the zip line, no, not so much.
M said she wanted to go to Aruba. We got a place in Aruba.
And awesome. Sarah is to sell her house and buy a catamaran and sail the ocean.
I agree with you.
Go to her.
Water rafting. My husband.
Sarah's got a cute house though. A friend told me, Sarah.
Sell this house, buy a catamaran, and sail the ocean. Sarah's going to sell her haunted house to somebody else. I would a haunted house.
Sarah, I'll come by there and we'll take care of it and whoop it. I'll bring my Ouija board and we'll get it figured out.
There you go.
Yeah. Sarah, I got you. I'm telling you. I'll bring a mirror. We'll put a mirror in front of
Sarah
a mirror.
Had her husband on here. Sarah had her husband on here one time. She was on panel and he was talking about how haunted their house is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just her saying it. Like me.
Yeah, I've heard her talk about that before.
M's the first airplane my daughter ever got on. She jumped out of. Go figure.
Wow,
that's how we roll at my house.
That's one way to beat your fear of flying, right there. Just hell with it.
Just jump out.
First time I did. There was a when I was younger in like 93, 94. There was a big airplane crash in Charlotte. And the first time I boarded a plane was the next day after the airplane wreck. And they didn't want to tell me. So, when I found out about the crash, while I was there, I was like, what the hell's going on here?
The safest time to fly is after an airplane crash, because what's the chances that an airplane is going to crash,
That's a
twice
fact.
in a row?
Lightning striking twice.
You got more of a chance of getting killed by a vending machine than you do an airplane.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They say that flying is very safe, but I beg to differ.
I know. My dad was a pilot, and I have a healthy fear of flying. I really do.
Yeah,
I do.
Mechanical error.
My dad was a pilot, and he always said, it's safer to fly than it is to drive. Yeah, but you're way high off the ground. You know what I mean? There's nowhere to go but down.
My dad was an airline technician in the U.S. Air Force, and they wanted him to pilot, but he wouldn't because he was so good at the maintenance of those planes. They wanted him, but he wouldn't do it. He didn't want to pilot.
Yeah, I think me and you talked about that one time. I said, damn, I would have loved to do that.
That's how he got himself out of Ireland. He joined the U.S. Air Force.
There you go.
Ireland. That's how he got out of there.
Visit Northern Lights. Oh, that would be a good one.
Yeah.
And stay in the glass dome hut. Yeah, that would be cool. And they've got those igloos now. There's like igloo hotels up there.
My grandmother
went on the ice too.
My grandmother went on an Alaskan cruise, and she said it was the most beautiful cruise that she was ever on was the Alaskan cruise she went on.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
The wildlife she saw. That
I've never done a cruise.
I've never done one either.
And they're not that expensive. Really. They're not that expensive, really. I just never done them. I mean, you could probably spend $3,000 on one, but that's not terribly expensive for.
Well, that's like what you would spend on a vacation, right?
Don't go on a cruise right now, though. They're freaking like a dang little mini.
Yeah.
infested COVID town right now.
Yeah.
COVID town.
No.
Yeah, I'm
No.
serious. And then once you get
I
on, you
wouldn't
can't
know.
come back. They'll make your ass go
Welcome
20
to
miles out
Carnival.
into the ocean and say, "Do not get off your boat, assholes.
Yeah.
Y'all got to stay there."
I could just imagine them down in the theater. You know, welcome to Carnival Cruises. The movie for today is Titanic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the movie for today: Outbreak.
The Poseidon Adventure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactamundo or Sharknado.
Have you ever
Sharknado?
Smokey, have you ever seen the Bucket List, the movie with Morgan Freeman in it?
Hell yeah, that's awesome. I wish
No,
my
I've
bucket
never
list
seen
would be
that.
like that.
I want to see it though.
Oh, it's Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman. And it's a really good movie. It's really I believe one of them is a billionaire in the movie, and they wanted to take their friend to do all the things on their bucket list. And
Yeah, it's great.
Jack Nicholson is as good, but when you put Morgan Freeman with him, it's even better. It was a
I
good.
love them both. Actually,
Did I
really
mention my trip? You know, on my bucket list trip all through Europe and ending up in Italy involved sex about once or twice every single day that we're gone. Day.
I would imagine that people's bucket lists do have a lot of sexual things in it.
Sure does. I'll be like,
Mine doesn't.
Ems
That's
probably
odd.
does.
Queen of Hearts is actually,
That little sphinx.
She's
Queen of-
awesome. I heard her say, "All you need for that is the rabbit." And the funny thing
That's
is, I know
right.
what that is.
I know what the rabbit is.
Yeah,
Queen
you
of
know,
Hearts is asking what my content on my channel is. It's kind of a hodgepodge. You never know what I'm going to put up. You
It's
just never
like a
know.
box of chocolates.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
never know.
I have
what
done
you're
some
gonna
crime
get.
You
videos.
never know what you're going to get with Brian St. John.
Yeah, I had a bigger channel, Queen of Hearts. I had a bigger channel a few months ago, and it just had everything from cooking to kid stuff to music.
I wish you'd do some cooking.
You know what? They were
watching
good, and I got a lot of hits on them. I got a lot of hits on it because people aren't used to seeing just a regular, type of guy like myself throwing something together.
It was in a rabbit.
The hell?
No, you see him with the
Oh,
rabbit.
look who's here. Simon.
What's up, Simon?
Hey, Simon.
Simon.
Sweet
Miss,
Simon.
Mrs.
That's a
and
cool
Misters.
dude too, brother.
Good
I-
morning, Simon.
I hear-
How are you?
I hear bucket list and sex. Okay,
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
to.
You want to work your way through the Kama Sutra, do
We were
you?
saying
Okay.
we were talking about what's on our bucket list, and yeah, I said I wanted to try deep sea fishing.
Okay.
Smokey wants to go see the pyramids. Misdemeanor wants
Good
to.
luck, Smokey.
Yeah. What was yours, Brian? Oh, you want to drive on the Autobahn?
That's one
Queen
of
of
them.
Hearts, and an excellent crime channel for you would be Jenna Moon. And
Jenna
she's
Moon?
got her link
Yeah.
in here.
She is a good.
Sub to her. She's fantastic.
She sure is.
One of my favorites is Deadbug Says. I watched him. I watched him start his first video. It's not for everybody.
No, it's not for everyone.
Because he says things sometimes. It's kind of like shock crime, but
He's colorful.
if you get past what he's saying, sometimes he is fully detailed, and he uses old clips, and it's kind of like Mickey Spillane type of true crime.
Who are we talking about now?
Deadbug Says.
Deadbug says
Oh, I've
he's,
never seen that
he's
one.
pretty colorful.
It's
Um,
colorful.
If
He
you
does
don't have a really dark sense of humor, you may
He
not
does.
like it.
He calls
I
What
like
kind of
it.
crimes does he
he
talk
calls
about?
child
Everything.
molestation sticky fingers and stuff like that. So you just got.
Dysfunction Junction says hello, Simon.
Who
What's
does?
up, Simon?
Dysfunction Junctions says
Who's
hello,
that?
Simon.
Hello, Miss Function Junction.
Yeah.
How's your junction?
How's your dysfunction over there? at the
Oh, see, that's a
junction?
good one.
Remy,
Dysfunction Junction, that's a good one. She just sold her home and took off in an RV, going to travel the country.
that's
We were
good.
talking about that. Didn't I say that this morning?
Yes,
Didn't I
you
say
did.
I wanted
You
to buy
did.
an RV and travel all over the country, go visit people
That'd
that
be
I've met
awesome.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty badass.
Remy, Mickey Spillane had a radio show back in the 30s where he was like a detective. Kind of Mickey Spillane had a cool voice, and that's the way Deadbug does.
Good.
Yeah.
They
Maybe
are
something
Queen
good.
of Hearts, and that's why we're looking for alternatives to so much drama. So people can do different. Now, Mandy's Mixed Media,
Yes.
excellent, wonderful
Yeah.
channel.
Yes,
There's
very
so
good.
many good ones out there. There's just there's a ton. There's a ton.
Diana Brienne
Jay for
Fairchild
Justice.
is another one. She does the inspirational messages. It's good morning from my grandma's porch. Yeah, she does those. I love her. I really do. I don't know how I found her, but we just she grew her channel to 7,000 in a matter of 6 months.
Yeah.
6 months.
Yeah.
She went
That's
from
good.
Simon, what do you have for Simon? What do you got for a bucket list?
Oh, my bucket list changed when I lost my leg.
Well, but
I would still love to be able to parachute out of a plane.
That's what I was thinking. Lost legs, skydiving. That goes well together.
What?
You could probably still do that, Simon.
I was gonna say, isn't there a way?
I love parasailing and all that shit.
Isn't there a way that you could that could be possible for you still though?
Only if you piggyback.
Yeah, well,
I
that would work.
still do it.
You got to remember
Because you need both legs, and whenever you make that initial land, you got to be able to bend your both legs to go along with it.
Have you ever done it?
No.
Have you ever done it?
No, my brother has several times. I haven't. Of course, I lost my leg, but anyway, that was on my bucket list. That was one major thing.
My husband was a paratrooper, and they took them to Argentina, and they jumped out of hot air balloons.
Wow.
You gotta remember,
Yeah, that's right. I remember.
Simon,
I've been in the air balloon. I've parasailed. I've been in the air balloon. I love the sky.
Yeah.
Simon, remember the drummer from Def Leppard, Rick Allen, who lost his arm, and they thought the band was going to go, and they just taught him how to play the drums without that other arm.
Right.
Hell yeah.
So there's hope. I mean, there's hope, but I don't not for because like you said, you have to do all the bending and stuff. But there may be a way if they had something set up for you to land on.
Well, you do the first couple times you do it, you have to go piggyback. You have to.
That's what Remy says.
Yeah.
And that's part of the course. And so, but you still while you're piggybacking, you still have to be able to run along.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've checked into all aspects of it because I before I lost my energy, I wanted to really do it, especially while I had my energy.
Well, now my bucket list is to actually find my bucket list. I set it down somewhere and I don't know what to do with it. How's that going for me, huh? Here it is.
M says, speaking of legs, mine feel like they're gonna just fall off this morning. This workout shit sucks.
Who was this Miss Junction? How does she know me?
A very wonderful person in our chat. She just sees you in here. I think.
Well, hello. I've never seen her. Hello, Miss Junction. How's your function?
Last month or so, I've seen her come around.
Another good crime channel for you, Queen of Hearts, is Monkey Mar. Excellent.
Oh yeah,
very detailed.
Yeah, very detailed.
Now, Miss Murder right now is doing the Scott Peterson stuff. Miss Murder.
Yes, she's very good.
She's another one. Like if you want true crime, you need to find true crime channels.
Or sometimes you
do they even exist?
They actually do. Jenna Moon has a great one. Monkey Mar has a good one. Stephanie.
Yeah, they're around, but they're rare.
Yeah, Stephanie Harlan
used to do real great true crime. He should get back into it.
Yes, he should.
You watch the drama channels, and there's true crime in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's no true crime there.
You want to watch crime happen in real time? Tune into all up.
Just join the drama community.
I like unsolved mysteries.
A felony a minute.
The drama community can.
It's a felony a minute. Yeah.
There's a felony happening every minute there.
Sure.
Another one of mine bucket lists that we talked about the other day was to visit Salem. During Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that would be awesome.
And these are not expensive things. These don't require
these are doable.
Hellacious travel. They're doable.
I want to sleep overnight with a paranormal group in a haunted house.
I've done that.
Watch them do their investigations.
I've done that with a group and by myself. I love it.
Well, not by
Yeah.
myself. I would never do it by myself.
Here in
It
Ohio,
gets-
and where
Well,
they
by
film,
yourself, you really psych into the energy, though. If that's
Well,
what you can do.
I'd also be pooping my pants.
here in Ohio, they have this thing set up where you can go into the prison where they film Shawshank Redemption,
Hey, Jenna.
and you
Hey,
can spend the night there.
Jenna.
It's haunted.
Hey, Jenna.
Hey, Jenna. Jenna.
Pooping your pants, not to be confused with creaming your Levi's.
That's
Oh,
right.
Smoky.
Cream in your Levi's. I like that, Jenna. Jenna, all right. Yes, I like
Carla
that.
invented that. I didn't invent that. Carla said that.
Yeah, that's what the Levi's was when True Helper came up. I said, "Excuse misdemeanor, she's creaming her Levi's right now."
Yeah, and it was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I haven't heard that since the 80s.
What do you think of this
actually.
temperature this early this morning?
It's amazing.
Too much.
Humidity.
It's amazing.
Oh
and y'all
my
can
God,
have
it's a-
it. Welcome to it.
I am
Welcome to
sitting
my
on
hell.
We
It's-
haven't turned our air conditioner off all night. It's It's
Let
been
me just
ridiculous.
tell you, it is 76 degrees outside. Humidity
Well,
is
that's
low.
a lot better than what it is here.
Let me.
It's
Well, we've been
already
115 for the last week.
I
every
think it's
single day.
already 82.
Oh
It's
God.
90 here already this morning. I'm sitting on the porch
Yeah.
just
I'm
sweating.
sitting on 84.
It was so
84.
hot. It was so hot here yesterday that it made Nicole sick. She was throwing up, sweating, and everything else. It was from the heat. And I
What's
got
the
one.
temperature, Carla?
Well, as we say in,
Did you
as we
just
say in the
It's
South,
not so
bless
much
your
the
heart.
heat as it is the humidity. That's what kills me. is the
I got this-
humidity.
I got this big power fan that I borrowed from my work.
Damn right.
To
Y'all are so sad.
it throws the air around, but it's too noisy when I turn it on. You hear this damn thing?
Hell yeah.
Sounds like my house.
It blows pictures off the walls and everything else. It's crazy.
Industrial type.
Yeah, it's
Jenna,
a big.
do you-
It looks like a whistle, Simon. It looks like a
I'd
whistle.
love to have it.
Yeah,
Jenna,
they're expensive.
Jenna, do you have a bucket
Oh,
list?
you're talking about the tube things. Okay, yeah.
It looks like a whistle,
Oops.
but it really does. It really does circulate the air. But it's just too damn loud. I got to turn it off when I'm on YouTube.
You would need a towel to dry off after you got out of the
Y'all
shower.
do know that I'm
Ryan
laughing at
tried
all
to
y'all,
do a
right?
striptease
Yeah.
for us last night, and we told
I'd
him
walk around with a hard on.
we could still
That
do it.
wouldn't be rude.
Y'all know that I'm laughing at all y'all right now, right?
We
You do
don't
know
hear,
that.
we don't hear your giggle.
I have a bucket list.
Imagine that. Imagine
Jenna.
that temperature every day from May until October.
Yeah,
Hell,
see,
Smokey, what are you doing in your home? You should be ever visiting your mom and going skinny dipping.
Hi, Amanda.
Right?
he probably gets
Yeah.
bored of that. You know, if he's got access
Everybody
to
be
it.
quiet. Jenna wants to tell us what's on her bucket list.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Jenna.
Well, some were already spoken of, like going to Salem on Halloween. That's
Yes.
one of the things. The RV, renting an RV, and when we retire and traveling. That's another. Another one that hasn't been mentioned. I would love to go to Ireland. Love
Oh,
to.
yeah.
Ireland.
That
Yes.
was cool.
That's pretty
I love the
cool.
way they talk.
Yeah, see, I had a chance to go there with my dad when I got married the first time. He was going to take us over there, and I didn't want to go because of the flight.
Oh,
he went.
It's muggy there.
Queen of Hearts. That sounds good. A Pink Lady Luck does a Salem during October and gives tours of the graves and whatnot. Something else I wanted to tell you, Queen of Hearts, during October, Stephanie Harlow does Harloween, and she does a series of videos that are spooky true crime stories. So make
Yes.
sure to check her out in Halloween, the
I
whole
want
month
to
of
see that.
October.
Yeah.
Yep,
And-
she does, and they're awesome.
In the 80s, I spent 2 weeks in October in Salem, Massachusetts.
Oh, see,
Yeah,
That's what
back
I
in
want
the
to do
80s.
that.
Close to Salem. I'm not that far from Salem.
We need
but
to
I-
go do. We need to do a family reunion.
Well, I
in October
recommend
in
it. I
Salem.
recommend it. If you're into energy and stuff like that, I recommend it.
Yeah.
I did
That
hit
would
one
be
of my.
fun.
I did hit one of
Early
my.
girl.
I did do one of my bucket lists a few years ago when we took a trip to Dallas and we went up into the 6th floor museum, and and then we went all
What a
over
story.
Dealey Plaza, and I'm telling you what, you can feel.
Yeah, you can feel it in Dealey.
I stood
Yeah.
right on. They
Energy.
got an X in the middle of the road where the final shot was, and I stood on that, and I stood where the babushka lady was, and actually got an interview. We was walking through there. I got an interview with one of the local stations because we went on November the 22nd, and when we pulled on the Houston and Elm, I happened to look down at the clock, and it was 12:29. It clicked right at the very same time. It was really cool to be able to stand up next to that window where they said Oswald was at, and be able to do that. But that was one of my bucket lists, and I got to share that with Nicole because I had never. We've been through Texas. Went there. It was really.
I've been to the site where Flight 90 crashed.
Flight 93.
Yeah, that's near you. Isn't
Flight
it?
93. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
What does it feel like there? What kind of?
It's like so. You go there and it's like you want to cry.
Yeah, I heard it's real eerie.
I went fresh, and it was.
It's the most amazing thing.
You can't even think of it.
Yeah, they have like it's inside. It's like a museum, and they show like films of when the planes. And they've got like things that they picked up from the crash site.
Yeah, like the parts.
There was very limited things they picked up from that crash site.
Yeah,
they're whole different.
It's only 45 minutes.
Get on this one, BSJ will hit you with these fact bombs, and you won't be able to have to. You'll be like, damn.
Those conspiracy things are not real popular when it comes to speaking of that date on YouTube. It's not real popular.
I tell you, my daughter did go to the 9/11 museum in New York, and said it was just the most moving thing she's ever experienced.
Oh, you walk in, like I went to the Flight 93 place, and it was they have all the names, that they have a wall of all the victims, like the names of all the victims, and it's just you walk there and it's and picture.
Well, even the Vietnam Memorial, and if you've never been to Washington D.C. to see just the monuments and go through Arlington Cemetery.
Yeah,
let me tell you, you need to put that on your bucket list. You really do.
One thing about 9/11, one of the good movies to watch about that is World Trade Center with Nicolas Cage in it. If you want to get a taste of what those people were going.
That was good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. You're right, man.
Based on a true story about it.
I think everybody remembers where they were that morning. I know I do. I was getting ready for work.
Where I was.
I was downtown. I was downtown at the library on the internet because my internet was out when it happened.
I was in college.
I was doing charts. I was doing charts for a doctor, and it's.
I was home watching.
The doctor's son was at the Trade Center.
You were watching Maury Povich?
I was home watching Maury Povich. Yep, I went to the bathroom. And I came out, and my husband was home that day on vacation. And I came out, and I was like, "You changed the channel?" He's like, "I didn't change the channel." I'm like, "It was on Maury." He's like, "No, Jenna, this is real life." And the rest of the day, he sat in front of that TV for the rest of the day and just cried. It was.
I thought it was a movie premiere.
I didn't believe it when I first saw it. I was watching Good Morning America, and I saw the first plane hit, and it's like, this can't be real.
Hey, Truth. Good morning.
Hey, Tracy, how are you? I was filling props at Caesars. Yeah, it's like everybody remembers where they were when that happened. And then it was just like, oh my God. And then, you saw one building come down, implode, and then the other one came down after. And
well, when a friend of mine called me and said, "What's going on in New York?"
I live her.
Well, there happened to be a team of French documentarists that were down there. They were doing a documentary on the fire department.
Yeah, they sure were.
They were looking at something in the middle of the road when I believe that was it was
a gas leak. It was a gas leak.
Yeah,
you're right, Smokey. It was a gas leak because I've watched that. Yep, it was. They were filming gas leak.
You saw that plane come through, and then you hear somebody say, "Oh shit!" But that was that was was that the first plane? Yeah, that had to have been the first plane.
Yeah, it was the first one.
Yeah, because you didn't expect the second one to hit.
If you remember,
the second one hit.
If you remember, George Bush was giving a book reading, to some children in Florida, and he told everybody that he saw the first plane hit on the way in there, but it wasn't released till the next day. But that's a whole different story. It wasn't released till the next day.
Well,
that's
there's that whole security clearance thing. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But no, I remember a friend of mine calling me and saying, "What's going on in New York?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Turn on your television." I turned it on. I was like, "Oh, that's probably just a movie premiere, I'm sure."
Mm-hmm.
And then the second plane hit, and I was like, "That's not a movie premiere."
No, this is real life.
It's terrible. No matter what.
Everybody was like in shock because nobody saw it coming. Like nobody saw it. Well, I guess nobody. I didn't see it coming.
Oh, there were a lot of emails sent around to people that were in the government. Like Condoleezza Rice got an email that said, "Don't fly today." But that when you start getting into that controversy on it, it's not real popular.
Nope, it's not here.
Line is
I
I stay out of the controversy. I just remember where I was that
conspiracies. Yeah,
it's kind of like the drama community where I heard, somebody said to me, somebody told me. Okay.
Yeah. Once upon a time.
Where's your proof? Just saying. Yeah. I don't know. I remember them saying that he was flying from Florida to Shreveport, and I'm in Lake Charles going, "Don't fucking come here. If they're after you, please don't come here." What are you doing?
The Dixie chick pissed.
I hope
Bin Laden for an eternity feels the pain.
Yeah.
Well, their thing isn't it? They're going to go to heaven and have like 75 virgins or something. I don't know what it is.
Why would you want? I'd want somebody who knew what the hell they were doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know.
75 virgins with one man is just only going to lead to a bloody mess.
Exactly.
Well, isn't that what they get? Or if they sacrifice themselves, like as like some kind of like reward, their reward. Their beliefs.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad my God doesn't require that of me.
Yeah, really. Seriously. I don't want to.
No, you don't got to do that. My son already did that. Just relax. Have a good life.
Oh, man.
I like that kind of idea.
So anyone else in the chat got anything on their bucket list that we haven't mentioned? Mine was whitewater rafting was another one. I've
done that.
Yeah, that's fun.
Never done that.
I have a very unpopular one. Unpopular one. Y'all don't yell at me. I have my reasons. I want to go to Spain and I want to see a bullfight.
Well,
that's cool. You want to run with the bulls too? Please run with the bulls too.
I do not want to run with it. Look, I don't run unless there's a serial killer after me.
Do you think it would turn you on?
What?
Watching the bullfight, do you think it would turn you on?
No, I have. Here's my thought about bullfighting.
Who dropped?
Because a lot of times,
Jenna. Jenna dropped.
Wasn't that Bin Laden?
Yeah, Bin Laden buried at sea.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bin Laden,
why was he buried at sea? Because nobody wanted to bury him.
Well, because
they didn't want it to be martyred.
Because they never killed him.
They didn't want him. Yeah,
I'd have just thrown him overboard.
They didn't want him to be. They didn't want the place he was buried to be a site that people would come to, and him become a martyr.
Well, I don't know, because they put John Dillinger's body on display for everybody to see to prove that they killed him.
Yeah, you're right.
They are changing.
Hey, I'm going to get some breakfast, Carla. I'll come back in a little bit. Love y'all.
Okay,
love you too, babe.
Enjoy, Smokey.
Have a good one.
Last time in BSJ demeanor.
Peace.
You too, babe.
Peace out.
You're right, Truth. It wasn't televised, and I don't. I kind of I've been suspicious about that whole Bin Laden.
Hey, Galway.
I think everyone was.
Hello, Galway. Anybody else want to come up and tell us what your bucket list is? We all have different things that we want to do.
It's okay, Jen.
I think I'd like about 30 minutes locked in a room alone with Gwen Stefani. That would be a good list. She's
You're gonna have to figure out what you're gonna do with Blake, though.
Like to win the lottery, but that ain't happening.
I love her to death.
Is it Lurker? Because I don't know how I would
have
feel.
much more on my bucket list. I have much more.
Yeah. Well, we keep thinking of them as we go here, right?
But my thought behind the Spanish tradition of the bullfight is to give the bull a dignified death, to fight for their life before they're killed. I don't know. It's my dark side, whatever. Don't judge me. Don't come for me. Y'all all got one. I just talk about mine sometimes publicly. Whatever.
I was just answering the truth. She's like, why? As I wouldn't know what to do with Gwen Stefani if they did lock me in a room with a bit, sit there and go. I just love to have her sing to me in my ear. That would be great. She's gorgeous.
Good morning, Tucker.
Laugh at me about this, but I still think Joan Collins is freaking fracking hot.
Yeah, I've heard you say that before. Mm-hmm.
I do. And Michelle Pfeiffer, oh my God.
Oh, man.
The shape of her lips, I just it's
when she was dating Al Pacino back in the day, I think they made the movie called Tucker's Here. I think they made the movie called what was it, Frankie and Johnny? Yeah, but Michelle Pfeiffer is really and when she did the Catwoman.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah. Her ass and those lips. Oh my God.
I was gonna say when they put that vinyl on her.
Wow.
I think Jennifer Aniston though that has the best ass in Hollywood though.
Sophia Loren is beautiful. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
Pretty lady.
I remember doing room service one time and opening up the door. The person opened up the door and Jane Seymour standing there in a robe. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Dr. Quinn. And you're not supposed to show any starstruck. But it was hard. It was hard. Literally, it was hard for me to not show any starstruck with her.
Yeah, I think I would do Magic Mike in a locked room for 30 minutes. That would be a good bucket list. I could handle that. You betcha, Ems. We'll take turns, babe. Not a problem.
Good morning, Tuck. I'm saying hi to Tuck. He popped.
Oh, is Tucker there?
Yeah, he just popped in.
Tucker, get up here.
Yeah.
We want to talk to you. We haven't talked to you.
Your own greenhouse.
Yeah,
that's nice, Captain Obvious. I like that.
I want Tucker to come up here because I want to tell him something.
Yeah, and he got a second chance on life, so I'd be interested to hear his bucket list.
Yeah, he's probably got a very interesting bucket list.
Yeah. The truth, after you meet so many entertainers, it kind of is like, well, there's John Travolta.
Entertainers?
Yeah. Well, she worked in the casinos for the longest time, and she just said that, so it's not like, but so I can imagine the kind of entertainers that went through there. They love to gamble. Yeah.
I've met many stars, not impressed, the truth. I actually, in my family, my niece, well, she was my niece, but her mom and my brother-in-law divorced. And a few movies. No.
I've met a few.
You mean my fake heart? You mean your fake heart transplant? Yeah, that's the one. Come on up, Tucker. Talk to us for a bit.
Tucker's gonna come up. He says, "Let him get a refill."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good. I'd be glad to hear. I'd be glad to hear from him. He's,
Sure. Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
I don't know why somebody would say that they had a heart transplant if they didn't, but I've heard people say that to him before, that it was fake.
Oh, I think people say a lot of things on here that aren't true, but I believe him.
Yeah.
Some
of that I just didn't get involved in. We need to have
sometimes it's for attention, and you got to wonder why, because there's probably a reason why something's lacking, or I actually feel sorry for people that have to make up illnesses. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's Simon's got something to say, but he's biting his tongue.
Hey, Raven. Well, but Simon's been around forever.
Yeah. That's like Em says, when you get around the celebrities, if you see them often, they really are. They're just like regular people. and they make
and they don't look like they do on TV. Come on.
Usually they don't. No,
they don't.
Yeah, Travolta used to come here.
I'm that famous.
Travolta used to come to Dayton for 2 weeks out of every year because we had the air show. And
Travolta?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He would come in because Dayton's really famous for having the air show here. And he would come down here and stay for 2 weeks every time. And he would just walk around. Of course, he did have bodyguards and stuff with him, but he would just walk around. He was friendly to people. And, after a while, people were like, well, it's just John Travolta. But if he came through the hotel and other people, that weren't used to seeing him, they'd freak out on him. But the staff never.
Well, Mrs. Brady and Paula Dean had cuss like sailors. Really? What do you mean, Mrs. Brady?
I believe that.
He's talking about Florence Henderson.
Florence Henderson.
I believe that.
Passed away. Didn't she pass away? I thought she did.
No,
she Bob Saget.
Paula Dean cusses like a stranger, like a sailor.
Yeah, Bob Saget.
She's a Southern woman. Yes, indeed. She likes her butter and she likes her cussing.
Yeah, y'all motherfuckers need some butter.
I can't imagine her cuss. Can you imagine her cussing misdemeanor?
Oh yeah, why not? It's like Bob Saget.
Yeah.
Bob Saget has a very too.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You really can't
Listen, y'all play like Southern women. Y'all play like Southern women are all innocent.
Oh, yeah.
We are not.
Don't say that about me. I can't believe Carla said that. I can't believe she said
Where's
that.
the little one?
The old lady from Pasadena said that.
Oh, she said a few racist things in her time.
Uh-oh.
That's
Well,
why
I
she's
heard
on
about
YouTube and not on television.
She got kicked off of the Food Network because of
Yes,
some
she did.
racist remarks that she said. I thought I had heard that. I still love her though. I don't know. Should I not?
Well, yeah.
I've never heard her actually say.
Look what happened. Look what happened to Rosie over Roseanne Barr over she didn't think her statement out very well, but she lost her damn near her whole career.
Yeah, you get her broadcasts from Instagram and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But what did Roseanne Barr do? What did she say?
She made a comment about the Planet of the Apes.
Did she?
Yeah, and it wasn't well thought out, and they canceled her show and everything else for it. But yeah, she does come on YouTube, and if you go to her channel and she's live, she'll talk to you. She's like a regular person.
Oh, yeah, just like a regular person.
She says, "Deal her a 22 and listen to her." Oh my God, that's funny.
She sits out on her balcony smoking cigarettes, talking shit about the industry.
Tracy's probably got the freaking neatest stories.
She's got that farm that
I love
Hawaii.
Tracy's stories. Tracy's got the coolest story. She's a really good storyteller.
Tracy?
I'm like a shit storyteller. I really am. That was a little bit bullshit, Brian. What?
I think it wasn't well thought out, but I don't see the racism in it, and I don't see the extreme, kill her whole career because of it. I don't see that. No.
Oh, dysfunction.
She was too arrogant about it.
And there were circumstances around the Paula Dean, though, and it wasn't what it was announced out of context, just like drama here on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
I think if they would have been a little more humble with their mistakes, their apologies, I think the public would be more forgiving.
Right. Her apology was kind of like
they weren't.
Her apology was kind of like Jimmy Swaggart's apology.
Oh, do you remember when Jimmy Swaggart went on, "I have sinned"?
I have sinned. But the sad thing about Jimmy Swaggart and that whole hooker situation is, he's got all this money and he gave her $10.
Right.
Look at the downfall of PTL.
Remember Jim Baker? Jim Baker. Oh my God! Remember when they were taking him to jail?
Jim and Tammy Faye.
I don't know how he was like sentenced to like 140 years and he got out in 6 months.
One of the things. One of the things
money he had.
One of the things Jim Baker used to do to waste his congregation's money is he had this thing with ordering fresh cinnamon rolls, a whole bunch of them, to put in his room at night so he could sleep.
Who did?
Yeah.
Who did?
Yes,
Jim Baker.
Jimmy
Oh,
Baker.
Jim Baker.
He liked the
He
smell of
ordered
them.
more than cinnamon rolls to go into his bedroom at night.
Wouldn't he just wanted to smell?
I think he was ordering a little more taller than a cinnamon, bigger than a cinnamon roll to come in.
Those were the fakest TV evangelists I've ever seen outside of Benny Hinn. Yeah, I didn't know.
Heel off, touch your head.
Who's that young guy that has a big following too? He's really, really
God, what is his name?
Remy said,
he's got really dark hair.
I know who he is.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yes, and look at the mansion he's got. What is it? 26,000 square feet.
Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne.
Joel Osteen.
Ozzy wrote a song about Jimmy Swaggart called "Miracle Man." If you listen to "Miracle Man" by Ozzy, it explains who Jimmy Swaggart is. Miracle Man. It's a good song.
Who what?
Ozzy's song "Miracle Man." Ozzy Osbourne's song "Miracle Man" is about Jimmy Swaggart and getting busted. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny, actually.
I gotta listen to it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Simon.
What happened to Misdemeanor?
Oh, she dropped off again. She's dropping off all over the place.
Yeah, it's the weasel. She's popping back up.
What in hell are you doing?
Pop off.
Like a jack in the box. Hello? Is she talking?
No.
Can she hear us? Hello? She keeps muting. I don't know what she's thinking.
The internet is being a bitch. I'm working on it, okay?
The internet. Oh, her internet. She's so mad at her husband for that. She don't like her internet.
Is it her router going out or what?
I don't know what. She has to, a minimum of 5 times a day has to reboot her phone. There she goes. There she goes. Bar she blows. So do you have anything else on your bucket list, Brian or Simon?
I don't know. I didn't take the time to write one down. As we go,
I do. I do. But this one might become a reality. Us selling this 3-story house and getting a flat, especially being a leg amputee, getting a flat little place in the country, not here in the city.
Yeah.
Just something simple like that. And so that might become a reality very soon.
It seems like it might be a necessity, Simon.
Is that you, Remy?
It is, Brian. Trust me. For my life, it is.
Yeah.
Hey, Remy. You got a bucket list?
Hey.
I
want to,
Okay, that might be better now for a minute.
I want to go to Bora Bora and I want to stay in one of those huts.
Oh, Bora
Wait,
Bora.
I didn't hear you. Bora Bora?
Yeah, Tahiti, Bora Bora, I don't know. It's in French Polynesia.
Yeah, Bora Bora.
And I want to stay in one of those little floors. So I could watch all the little fish.
You want to stay in what? I don't understand what you mean.
In a hut.
In a hut. Okay.
Yeah, it's right out. It's out in the water. It's beautiful.
Okay.
Crystal clear.
And some have like little see-through floors, and you can watch little fishies. So great.
Little
the Kardashians. They went, and Kim Kardashian got all mad because she got pushed in the water and lost like her 5-carat diamond earrings. And I'm like, chick, come on, you could buy like 50 pairs of them.
It's still expensive though.
But she was busy spending all that money on her ass. Literally.
I wonder how
people are weird.
I wonder how
it's not real. That's not real.
There's no way.
First Lady Kim Kardashian is going to make for us.
Oh my God! Brian? Did you see his what he said yesterday? I think, or the night before. He said something, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is not happening.
I just think, in my opinion, Kanye West isn't very talented, and I don't think he's very smart. No. And when he came to Dayton with Dave Chappelle after the Oregon shooting. He came down to give one of his things. I went and seen Chappelle, but I wasn't going to see Kanye West. I think there's something fake about him But that's just my opinion. I don't know.
I think he's just nuts.
I don't think he's talented at all. I really don't.
Is he the one that's running for president? No.
Yep.
He's the one that's pulling a publicity stunt right now.
He's not running.
No, he's running for president of Oklahoma.
He's running for president of
so far.
I thought he was
Guy's
running
a
for
freaking
president
idiot.
of the United States.
Well,
What am I missing here? What's he
Y'all
running?
believe everything I
What does
say,
it-
don't you?
Yeah, I do.
But I
I
would say
really-
he's got the money to do a campaign.
I'd rather see Oprah in office.
Oprah?
I'd rather see nobody.
Ugh.
Well,
why?
there was some speculation that Oprah might run, but
Anybody
Why?
is better than frickin' Kanye West. Guy's an idiot.
there's a lot of people that are.
Well, wait. Who's he now? What does he want to run
He
for?
is
Like,
Kim Kardashian's husband.
That's it.
I know, but that's what's his qualifications for
I
running
get
for
him all
president?
mixed
Nothing.
up.
He puts out
He
good
has
rap
none.
music.
Hi, Kimberly.
He's got
Puts out
nothing.
rap music. That's his qualifications.
I don't.
He's
even
got a
think-
clothing line.
Okay.
He's got a clothing line.
I,
And he's got some
Oh, he's
sneakers
got a
that are called
clothing line.
Peachy.
Wow, that's
Galloway
that's
girl just
good qualifications.
Galloway girl
Yep.
disagrees
He's
with
up
me.
there. He's about as qualified as
Far-
the
He's
chipmunk.
far from an
that goes
idiot.
across my yard.
He's probably
And he's got a
a
wife with a
millionaire.
fat butt.
Galloway girl put it in type high. She yelled it. He's far from an idiot. Yeah. I mean, some people like Kanye. I just don't care for it.
Uh,
I
like
don't really
the way
know
he-
much about him.
All
Like,
the
Oh, he's the guy that got up on the stage when Taylor Swift
George
won.
Bush hates black people.
oh, I remember that. Wait.
Yeah,
That was at the
come on,
Grammys,
man.
wasn't
Really?
it?
Yeah, he was.
And
Right.
then
Got in trouble for that.
he did
Yeah,
the thing with
Beyonce
Taylor
got on
Swift.
his ass. Beyonce.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, he went up on stage and said, when Taylor Swift was receiving her,
Yeah,
award,
he was like
Uh,
very rude.
Beyonce should have won and blah blah blah. And Beyonce looked mortified.
Oh, they chewed his ass. Yeah, her and Jay-Z. Yeah, over that. Mhm.
I just was like, you've got to be shitting.
Who does that? Who takes?
Kanye West.
Who steals someone else's joy like that? Taylor Swift is very talented, and I don't know why he would think that he could just jump up on that stage and belittle. I don't know why they didn't cut that out. I don't know why it was.
It happened live, but they're on a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, it's no different than like when Kid Rock and Tommy Lee were at an award ceremony and they got into a fight. Kid Rock went over and punched Tommy Lee right in the face. I'm like, why did they were fighting over Pamela Anderson? And I'm like, why would you show that? Why would you even fight over Pamela Anderson in the first place? But why would you show that? Why would you do that?
Because it makes for good entertainment, Brian.
I don't know. Kid Rock, Tommy Lee was talking shit to Kid Rock, and he came over in Kid Rock's face, and Kid Rock just blasted him right in the mouth. I was like, good for you, Kid Rock. That's what he gets.
They're a different breed of people. They have a lot of money and they're bored.
I'm still back on the why would you fight over Pamela Anderson question because that was
Yeah, I'm
I
still
can't get past that.
Well, the thing with Pamela Anderson is, through the as rock stars, she'd be kind of passed around between a lot of them, and it's like, why would you?
Exactly. Why would you fight over? Why would you want her? Yeah.
It's like why would Popeye and Bluto fight over olive oil? I mean, what was the big deal there?
There's another good question that I've asked since my childhood. I'm like, really?
Conundrum.
That's pretty? Okay.
It just didn't Tommy Lee honk the horn with his weenie on a boat?
I saw he didn't honk the horn, but he
Yeah,
could if he wanted to. I saw that video. I saw the video with him and Pamela Anderson. I'm like, damn.
Sure you did. I figured you did.
He could have been a porn star if he wanted to. It's like, damn, dude. What the fuck,
Of
man?
course
Put that
you
thing
thought.
away. Put that thing
Hey,
away.
Leo
before you
wife.
put his eye out with it.
Wait, Leo wife, I have to give you your wrench.
I mean, but look at Ron Jeremy.
He's
Like,
not
how
doing
does that happen with that?
Go, honey.
He looks like a meatball.
Ron
The
Jeremy.
hedgehog.
Ron
The
Jeremy.
hedgehog.
Ron
How does that
Jeremy
happen
is-
with that?
I don't know how Ron Jeremy made it as a porn star
Hedgehog.
because he's not got what he doesn't have anything really.
No, he's bona
He
fide
looks
ugly.
like a meatball.
Well, he's not even hung that well.
Who
Perfectly
are we
round.
talking about now? Who are we talking about?
Ron Jeremy, come on, act like you don't know.
Porn stars.
Oh, porn
Remember
stars.
Jameson?
Ooh. What's
Jenna
his
Jameson
long-
looks
long
like shit
dong,
now.
long dong silver. Long Dong Silver or whatever.
About, John Holmes.
I don't watch porn, guys. I don't know these porn stars. You guys know these porn
Didn't John
stars?
Holmes die of
Yes,
AIDS?
probably does.
Yes, he did.
Hey,
I think
Betsy.
so.
Because he switched
How are
over.
you, honey?
He switched over to male porn. He switched after he lost.
Oh,
his
did he?
Really?
Yeah, he switched over. To male.
What, he's doing like he's doing men now. Ew.
Well,
So
no,
he's doing the gay.
I'm not
yeah.
saying that gay. No, this isn't anything against. But why switch from female to male?
because he didn't get any more jobs with the.
You get the short end of the stick with male porn stars.
The thing of it is if you want to mix true crime with porn, then you got to watch Wonderland.
Who?
The John Holmes, the Wonderland, the movie Wonderland that Val Kilmer played.
Oh God!
It's a true crime and porn mixed together. It tells John Holmes' story. The movie Wonderland.
Really? Oh, yeah. That's interesting.
It is. It's a really good movie too.
Uh-huh.
No. It's about.
What is it? Is it a porn movie or is it a true crime movie?
No, it's about.
Is it a true story?
It's about a murder that John Holmes got involved in, where 4 people were just beaten to death in this house on Washington Avenue. Yeah, it's a true story. Over a drug deal gone bad.
Wow.
Friggin' celebrities, man. They're all nuts.
They're all nuts.
They're all nuts. They're all
They've
crazy.
got
They got too much money.
Well,
and too
a
much
lot of
time.
them have too much money, and that's why they get themselves into trouble. You know what I mean? They can
Who was
afford
that
to
guy?
buy their way out of trouble.
Well, can you imagine?
Yeah, exactly.
Can you imagine having enough money to do anything you wanted?
No,
It would probably, you know.
I cannot. I can't even like imagine.
A lot of
I
people.
mean, what do you do all day? Just count your money?
Yeah.
No, you spend it. Like you buy mansions, like
Or you buy things.
bedroom mansions,
Or you buy things.
swimming pools, movie stars,
Every day. For a month.
and movie stars. You do like Jed Clampett.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Tyson's house is extraordinarily beautiful. And then he sold it to 50 Cent. 50 Cent went broke. But this guy, why do you need 30 bathrums? Do you need to poop?
Have you ever
every day in
seen
a different
Jeffree
bathroom?
Star's house? Oh my God, Jeffree Star's house. Amazing. Amazing.
Hey, Bill Gates has got the best house though.
Oh, does he? I don't know. I've never seen his house.
Kim
I know.
Kardashian has in this house too.
What's her
Ooh.
name? Celine Dion has a beautiful house too.
She's got a freaking water park in her backyard.
I know.
Yes.
I know.
I believe that.
I'm like, holy crap! I got a baby pool, but I don't have that.
I think Justin Bieber bought a glass house.
He's
what?
another one.
Who?
Justin Bieber.
Oh yeah. Well, he's like a gazillionaire.
He went from
He's a
rags,
millionaire.
he went from rags to riches. You know, they found him on YouTube because he would sit and sing.
Usher found him.
Yeah, and he went from middle class to $200 million contract in a day.
Yep. Usher found him on YouTube because he could
Oh,
dance.
and look at how I mean, he was a rock star. I mean, these young girls just loved him.
He buys his dad a brand new Cadillac every year for his birthday.
Yeah. Well, if I'd see him in the streets, I'd throw cow piss on him.
He is a little prick, isn't he?
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
kind of a little
He
arrogant
hasn't been in
bastard.
the news lately, though. After he got married to what's her name? Oh, God,
Oh, he
what's her
got
name?
married too.
That
Oh
model.
yeah, he got,
Yeah.
Haley, I think her name is,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah, who that is?
and she, I mean, I don't know, exactly who she is, but yeah, he's been kind of quiet lately.
Well, he's lost his 15 minutes of fame. You know what I mean? But he probably doesn't.
He
care.
lost the hair, Brian. He lost the hair.
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago, you couldn't keep up on Instagram, and that one girl was so pathetic, always going back to him. What was her name?
Selena
Gomez.
Yes, that was it. That was so pathetic to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sad. It was
You
sad.
could tell she had no self-worth. People might think she did, but she had no self-worth.
There's a video out there with Justin Bieber sitting in traffic in one of his Ferraris, and these other people were giving him a bunch of shit. It's so funny. because he couldn't get away from the red light. Yeah.
Some of these celebrities, they're just welcome to the entitled generation.
You know who I'd like to have met before she died was Joan Rivers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like Joan Rivers.
Hysterical. She had a great. I think she had a great personality. She was funny.
Oh yeah, yes. If you couldn't get her sense of humor, well, there's something the matter with you.
She was beautiful. Yeah.
If you guys could meet one celebrity, past or present, who would you meet?
Elvis. Without a doubt.
Before
Steve McQueen. Steve McQueen, and the nastiness that would ensue would be
It would
tremendous.
just take one day with me, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to meet Clint Eastwood.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
yeah, Robin Williams is another good one. Leo's wife. He was very intelligent. Mm-hmm.
I touched on this on Marsha's stream at one time when they did the 3-question thing, whether it was true or false. And Marsha pretty much guessed it, but I never named who. But I met, and I didn't know who he was until later on that night. Mm-hmm. I met Robert Downey Jr. back in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
And I helped him carry a cooler. He was running. He was running from his dad. I didn't know anything about his drug addiction or anything. I didn't even know who he was.
I was going to say that had to be a fun time.
Right.
And so anyway, I met him down Myrtle Beach. He was running from it, but I didn't know that there was bodyguards as well.
Yeah. And
anyway, I helped him carry this cooler to this dive hotel. I mean, so you would never think that somebody with major money was at a dive hotel. But anyway, when we got to the dive hotel, here was 2 big, huge bodyguards.
Yeah.
And his dad already tracked him down.
Yeah, that was around the time. I think they filmed that movie Less Than Zero at Myrtle Beach.
I don't know what it
Charlie
was.
Chaplin.
But anyway, he told me he was hiding from his family. And he appreciated my help and this and that and the other. This is a true story.
Yeah.
It's
and then Prince.
Pretty incredible now that because like I said, I didn't even know who he was.
Yeah, the Galloway girl brought up Prince.
He's another one.
I partied with him. Boy, did I party with him.
I'd like to win. I'd like to meet.
Saying, like, that had to be an interesting time.
Who would you like to meet? Who would you like to meet? Like, who is your favorite actor?
Me?
Yeah.
Ow! Sorry, my bad. Clint Eastwood. I would like to meet him.
And mine is Charles Bronson. I think he is sexy. I do. I just do.
Bronson.
I don't know why. Charles Bronson.
I don't know who that is.
I don't even know if he's still alive.
I used to love those Death Wish movies.
Was that him that did those?
Yeah, and then Bruce
I just thought he was just like a man's man.
Yeah, Bruce.
I never liked the.
Did a remake.
Yeah, I never liked the.
I'd want to meet Marilyn Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
Grace Kelly.
Marilyn Monroe, yeah.
And Sophia Loren.
Hey, Samara.
Why not? Might as well go for the gusto.
Now, back in the 80s, 2 celebrities I'd like to meet, not because of attractiveness or anything like that, would have been Grace Slick and Steve Perry. Because I'd love to talk those 2 into get together to do vocals.
There you go.
Because they both had phenomenal vocals.
I'm going to tie you to a screen.
Evelyn Shelton says, I met Robert Downey Jr. and Anthony Michael Hall when I was an extra in the movie they did called Johnny Be Good.
Johnny Be Good is a great movie.
So somebody else met Robert Downey Jr.
Weird Science together, too. Weird Science is the movie they
I'd
did.
also want to meet Adam Sandler.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
They also, Anthony Michael Hall and Robert Downey Jr., they did Weird Science.
Adam Sandler would be cool.
They filmed Mr. Deeds. I actually have gone to where they filmed it, and it looks exactly how it looks in the movie.
Johnny Depp. I know. I think Johnny Depp is sexy.
Yeah, John. I don't know about John. Johnny Depp's a little.
The whole West Memphis 3 thing threw me off with him.
Yeah.
I want to meet Charlie Chaplin.
Come on up, Tucker.
They have a really interesting documentary on Charlie Chaplin.
I saw that. I know what you're talking about, Ruby.
Charlie Chaplin.
You played him, as a matter of fact.
Now, I would like to meet someone just to shake his hand because of all the stuff he does for humanity, and that is what's his name from the Titanic.
Leo DiCaprio.
Yes. He's a wonderful humanitarian, and he gives back so much to the universe.
I think he started out on Married with Children as cousin Seven. Seven was it?
Really?
I think
he was before that though. He was in other things, and then
commercials. He turned down
Silver Grape.
He turned down a really big movie to be in. He turned.
Hey, Tucker.
Yeah.
Hey, baby.
How are you? Long time no see.
Hey, Tucker.
Oh, hang on for 1 sec so I can
Tucker.
turn this off. Hey, baby.
Morning, Tucker.
How are you?
Yeah, Tucker's got one of those voices too, Mister.
Hop down, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you.
Oh, no.
Okay, Remy. Thanks for coming up.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Tucker.
Perfect
How you
day
doing?
for you. We're doing what is on our bucket list, what we'd like to do. You know, what we'd like to experience. Oh, just some food.
I have a really big bucket list. Jeez.
Okay, what's your bucket list?
If it was the ideal situation, you got to remember, I have a fake family and a fake wife and all that shit. So
Right. Fake heart. Fake heart.
Fake.
Fake heart.
So if all that stuff was gone, right, and I could use my bucket list, I think I'd like to have like a cabin in the woods that you had to get to by boat or airplane. But with all the amenities, all the electronics, that's one bucket list.
Would it be in the mountains though? In the woods?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In the mountains, yeah.
I'm going with you, Tucker.
Like the beach is nice. The beach and the palm trees are nice, but I think that it doesn't last too long.
No. Can I be your fake wife when we go to our fake cabin in the fake mountains and the fake woods?
I just got to get a divorce.
Okay, I will too. Yeah, we can make fake babies.
We make fake babies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I like other.
Tucker, did you change the name of your channel?
No.
Oh, okay. It's still Tucker Talks.
Yeah, I just put that name on.
You did some kind of premiere the other day, and I was trying to figure out.
Oh yeah, with the cartoon.
Yeah, if it was you changed the name on your channel, I thought.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I like other cultures, like all cultures. I'd love to travel the right way. Rental car, hotel.
Right.
So I could do that.
I know, Jenna.
Just simple stuff, really. Just simple stuff. Just really simple stuff. Just explore. I like to explore stuff.
Kind of like learning to cook, like local cuisine wherever you go. Yeah. That's what I like to do.
I watched this channel. I can't remember what his name is, but he goes to restaurants. They're not high class restaurants. They're just back alley restaurants everywhere in the world, like Taiwan, Tokyo, India, all these places. And he tastes
Donna.
the food of the area. And it's just so cool.
Yeah. But I'm not eating fermented fish.
No.
It's been in a jar for 3 months.
There's some food that they eat that I won't try.
Or crickets. I'm not.
Yeah, like there's Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives is one of my favorite shows on the Food Network.
Yeah,
he goes like the little diners.
Yeah,
some of the food and some of those little diners and dives are freaking awesome.
I know, right? But they're. I don't know about you guys where you're at, but I can tell you the mom and pops shops here are like gone. Like you got to really look. You know when you always see these videos where it's like the Texas, they're off the side of the road somewhere at some beef excellent place, so they do ribs and stuff like that. We don't have those anymore.
Right.
We don't have restaurants. You got to really search for a mom and pop shop these days.
My children never forgave me for
Well,
moving to Texas from Louisiana. They went on a hate parade. I think they're still on it. Pretty sure. Yeah. They're like, "Where's our Cajun food?" I'm like, "Joe's
Cajun
Crab Shack."
She's always telling me she ate alligator. What else did you eat? That was weird. Well, weird for
Turtle,
me.
rabbit, frog legs, all the good stuff.
Yes, I've never had anything like that.
That was good.
Canadian cuisine is pretty.
You ate rabbit? I didn't remember you saying you ate rabbit, but I know you ate I remember you saying you ate alligator. I didn't remember.
Okay, you remember those cousins I told you that were named Bobby Joe and Ricky Lynn? No, I'm not. That's their names. Bobby Joe and Ricky Lynn. They raised rabbits to eat.
Oh, really?
Chickens. Yeah.
Mara's not going to like that.
Well, but I'm just saying.
I like my groceries wrapped in plastic.
I do too, generally speaking, or in a restaurant.
Yeah, or in a restaurant, so I don't have to see anything.
Right.
So,
yeah, I don't like to know where.
I wish in our area we had more chain restaurants. We just have mom and pop shops, so it's just reversed for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Now everywhere here is McDonald's, Harvey's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh, we have them. Yeah,
lines and lines of that shit.
Yep.
I heard they said in Canada that 50% of the privately owned restaurants will never open again.
Wow.
Because of this COVID?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's kind of sad to me.
Yeah, once you go under in the restaurant business, it's hard to dig back under, especially if it's private owned.
Yeah, and I mean, some of these places that the mom and pop shops have been there since, like, I can't even remember when they weren't there, like decades and decades, right?
Right.
Are they closed in your area?
Oh, yeah.
The mom and pop shops?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mom and pop shops. I mean, Amazon's making out great, and what do you call that? Uber? We have Uber and this other
Uber Eats or whatever it is to deliver.
Yeah.
You just order what you need.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the sad thing. Now that we've taught an entire generation that America is not exceptional, how much entrepreneurship do you think you'll see following this COVID that'll open up new places? I don't think there'll be too many. We've got a generation of completely lazy electronic kids that don't believe in going out, and they're pretty entitled. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that stuff's going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't, because
is this going to be our new
I think so. At least with our government, anyway. I mean, I stepped up this way, no joke. When it first started, right? Because I'm at risk. Anybody that has any kind of respiratory condition, even if you're diabetic, something, even if it's something simple, your immune system is less than it used to be. Even if you're an older person, it's less than it. I started off with these. My wife used to bring home the surgical masks, those things, the blue ones.
Mm-hmm.
Started off with those, only to find out that they actually don't work. Then they came out with the cloth ones that go over your nose and all that stuff, and they're a little better fitted, only to find out that they're saying that, well, 90, they're only 80% good or something like that. Now I've actually, she brought me home upgraded. It's a 3M particle mask. It's got those two things on the side, the filters on the side. I mean, it literally looks like something you're in an apocalypse. And that
exactly, Evelyn Shelton.
The only thing that works. And as an observation, the odd time you go to Walmart or whatever the case may be, because those stores are open. Hell, man, if you're not wearing a mask, like, they want to beat the living shit out of you, like physically. Mm-hmm. They literally want to beat your head in if you're not wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think anybody going without a mask and gloves, I think they should have the shit beat out of them.
Oh, yeah, but there's anger there.
I know.
It's just not it's not a side eye thing. You just look at someone up and down or whatever. It's an actual physical aggressive thing, and it's weird. It's just weird.
Well, with the commercials that I see incessantly on television anymore, or even on social medias, like Facebook and here, you get these little pop-ups, and I honestly feel like I'm being managed and I'm being groomed, and I don't appreciate it. I'm just going to say that. So I stay home.
Well,
where I can have my own law and order.
There's, I think, at least in my case, I think there's a complete lack of information.
Wanda! Oh, Wanda!
I think there's a complete lack of information out there, and people are questioning everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because
that's not necessarily a bad thing to question things. I think you should.
Well,
amazing.
Tucker, don't your doctor have you on lockdown because of the?
Oh yeah. But
I was gonna say mine does.
It's not easy. Like I'm stubborn, and I get in trouble all the time because it's aggravating. It's like, are you kidding me? I just reached my 1 year in July 16th. And I'm saying, oh, I'm doing all this stuff. And no. You're not doing nothing. Actually, whatever you think you did before, you're doing even less than that. It's really, it's a psychological thing,
Mm-hmm. Your life don't exist. Your life don't exist.
Well, even if you're a shut-in already, right? And somebody tells you that you have to be a shut-in, just that mere fact, well, I don't go anywhere anyways. Well, from here on in, you're not going anywhere. It plays on your mind. It really does.
I can relate.
Right.
Well, I think too, and I get this whole thing of, well, it's a new virus. We've never seen it before. Okay, I got it. But here's the thing. We live in a different day and age than we did during the Black Plague. Mm-hmm. I've been in the medical field for 25 years, and I really find it very difficult to believe that the scientists that we have running this dog and pony show don't know exactly what they're talking about. They know exactly what it is. And here we sit since February, actually, and there's no foreseeable future. There's no foreseeable end to this shit. And I find that very difficult to chew.
Well, you know what I heard? That I was really disappointed in Canada because I just didn't know how things work this way. They had a news report on Russia, that Russia was caught trying to break into Canada's COVID database of the research.
Why not just call them and ask them?
Well,
shit.
that's what I'm going. I'm sitting there going, well,
work together.
Wait a minute. What wouldn't any relative positive research regarding COVID be accessible by the whole world?
You'd think.
Why would someone have to break into your, and why Canada wouldn't share it? Why wouldn't you? Well, we just, here's a little leak here. We found that this works, whatever. Mm-hmm. And here's the information. Call us or whatever they do. You know what I mean? And but everybody's keeping it secret. And I'm going, well, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do that? Like even Canada, I'm going, why would you want to keep a virus that's affecting the world private if you've made some kind of a discovery?
And if this mess is as deadly as, let's say, TB, let's give that example, okay, shall we? I've worked with TB patients, active TB patients. They're in a room that has a separate circulation of air than the rest of the hospital. Mm-hmm. There's a vestibule where you dress and undress.
Yeah.
Before you go out to the regular population, and you wear an N95 mask that you're fitted for. You don't go buy it from the quick market down the street, and it doesn't fit and it gaps at the sides. You're fitted for it. You can't smell or taste saccharin when they spray it in a little cone, so you know it fits. So if this thing is as deadly as, let's say, TB, which is what they're basically saying, then how come no one is allowed to leave their home without an N95 fitted mask? Where you've been fitted for it. You go in and they test it. Well, so I'm calling bullshit. I'm sorry.
Like, I'd heard this. That exactly, Becky, who says, how come they don't talk about the people that survive? I heard that this virus has a 98% survival.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just heard that. I can't confirm that or anything.
And I mean, I'll fight to the death for immunosuppressed people every single day of the week because that's true. I mean, they are at greater risk. Your population's typical with the flu. You're elderly, you're very young. I found it odd that the very young at the beginning were excluded from this whole equation. Now all of a sudden they're there. I'm like, come on, you guys, y'all work in the same field I do. What kind of games are you playing? Be honest. If this is really what it is, then we need to be honest. I initially heard, and y'all go back and look it up, but initially when this first came out, they said the only precondition, the only pre-existing condition that was affected by this was hypertension. I nearly threw up. I said, hold on just a second. I get that heart and lung are inseparable. I understand that. You can't have one without the other. Okay. Intricate system. But you're telling me hypertension is the only pre-existing condition that we need to be concerned about with a respiratory illness. Are you fucking crazy?
Well, see, that's what the thing is there's so much information out there that we, the population, that just have little tidbits of experience,
But that's what you do when you want people to think crazy. When you don't want them to pay attention to what you're actually doing, you confuse them.
Yeah.
With either too much information or not enough information, and they've done both.
Yeah,
sporadically or incorrect information. That's even better.
See,
Well, we found that it's not hypertension. We meant respiratory. Oh, because they're so similar. Not,
well, it's kind of like this too. Like, I know it all boils down to money. Like, I really do. People need to be working in order to earn their money, pay their mortgages. So I get that part. But
right.
Like here in Canada, in the provinces, we have like scales: level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1, everything's on shutdown. Level 2, some things are open. Level 3, everything's open. So they don't have a verified they don't have a cure at all. And we're at level 3, meaning everything's open, but with some restrictions. Bars are limited to 50 people, and weddings are limited to 50 people, and on and on and on. Well, if you don't have a cure, are you not perpetuating yourself back into level 1? Because does it not stand to reason that the more people that get together, the more it's going to be spread, and then in a month's time, you're going to be back to shutting everything down again?
Right.
That's exactly what's happening.
I don't understand it. Like, same as you guys opening schools. I don't know if we're opening schools or not, which is really important, but not as important as a child's life. So you open the schools back up, and then a month later you go, oh, well, look at all the kids stuff, is spiking. Let's close the stuff down again. It's like, well, what the hell? You can't partially go to school.
Right. And you built this two-income society.
Exactly.
So then when you shut down schools, where do your kids go?
That's right.
And then how do you accommodate for that loss of income? Because everybody keeps saying, oh, the government's going to give us money. No, that money is yours. Make no mistake. And while you're considering the fact that they're giving you back your own money, and some of it is in loan form, which is disgusting, let's think about this. How when you go to work and you work a day's pay and you get that day's pay, you pay taxes, you pay Social Security, whatever comes out of your check that initial time. You go to the store, you pay more taxes on that money. All right, more taxes come out of that money. Then let's say that you put it away at the end at the end of the year. Somehow the IRS seems to find a way to tax you more on it.
Right.
Okay. Then if you put it away in a 401k and you go to retire, then when you take it out, you pay more taxes. Then God forbid you die, you're taxed on it again.
Yeah.
How many times is an average dollar in the United States taxed from the time you earn it to the time you die?
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
And then they say they're going to give you money. The government has no viable way to make money in and of itself. It all comes from the taxpayers in this country. Think about that.
Ding, 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 ding.
Well, I agree with you 1,000%. I was watching. I've been off. Haven't been offline. I have been doing lives for a while. I've been just studying a lot of stuff. And I know a lot of people are angry at the BLM and Antifa and stuff like that. But those two groups actually have nothing to do with
right. I would be fine
color.
with them if they were actually who they said they were.
Yeah,
it would
they
make
don't.
sense.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have actually anything to do with color. They're just focusing on that. I think that what they're representing is the anger and frustration of everything, because today things are different, but they mask
Yeah,
it.
they are.
They're very different for young people. You rarely see someone my age, crippling down the road with a sign.
Right.
Like, when I was 20, yeah, maybe. Now it's like, but
Yeah.
I think people are really frustrated with the tax, the rules, the authority, and all of it, and society as it's the best we'll ever have. It is, until someone thinks of something else. Don't want it. They
but
don't.
for the people who are legitimately in the streets and protesting and they're angry, think about this with dogs. If you poke at a dog enough and you scare it, basically is what you're doing. You're not just hurting it, you're scaring it. What does it do?
Oh, bites
It
back.
comes at it bites you back.
Yeah.
And we've been poked and prodded and scared during this whole ordeal to the point where people are going to fight back. They're going to get pissed.
Yep.
You don't have an income. You've got kids at home that you're not used to having at home. You're used to going to a job, being able to pay your bills.
Exactly.
I mean,
I think that it's an absolute frustration that everybody has, and younger people seem to have the ability to show their outrage because they do feel hopeless. They do feel hopeless, and that's why they're tearing down shit, and they go, I don't even know why I'm tearing it down, but I'm mad.
Yeah,
right.
about that.
But I encourage anybody that lives in the United States, if you're a citizen here, listen, you're not without responsibility. And that's our biggest problem is we've all kind of sat back on our duffs and said, well, we'll let the government take care of it. Go and read your Constitution for real. You can Google it, okay? Look it up and read the role of the federal government in the United States, what the original intention was. It was not to pay $20 million of your money to put a shrimp on a treadmill. Just saying.
Yeah.
We're back to the shrimp. Yes.
Well, I mean,
Segue. Did you see what I just did just then? Did you see that?
No, but we have freedom, and we think we have freedom. Just ordinary folks think we have freedom. But
that comes with a lot of responsibility, that freedom word.
I don't even think it's responsibility. I can't remember the last time I voted for our government to send $100 million to some country I've never heard of. I don't remember having a voice in that.
Or getting involved in their skirmishes.
Or
spending ungodly amounts of money.
Exactly. I don't remember having a vote on whether our country should be involved in Afghanistan or whatever. Like, I don't. My freedom. I don't even know what my freedom is anymore.
No.
Free to shit talk on YouTube and Twitter, and that's that.
That's about it.
I'm not even free to do that. Not on YouTube.
Well, and to me, you see a rise in the anger and frustration coming out in 100 different nasty forms on YouTube. Some of that is coming from there. People are locked up in their homes. They've got nothing better to do than find out who they hate and rail on them endlessly.
No, this shit's been going on since time immemorial.
You don't think it's gotten uglier though, just on YouTube, just in the past year?
Has it?
I don't know.
Maybe because we pay more attention to it. It's become more ruthless, and uncaring. A little more ruthless is the word I would use. And there's some things that people do and say that just don't warrant a rebuttal, quite frankly. But now everything, the way you part your hair, how big or small your titties are, what color shirt you're wearing, like
I'm gonna get a T-shirt that just says "wrong" on it.
Like it's just different.
Wrong.
It's just different these days.
You're doing that wrong.
People cross the line far too often without permission, I might add, into other people's affairs, of which really aren't that interesting in the first place. It's just
Well, just and then maybe if you can find a site, and I haven't looked for it yet because I think it would make me throw up if I did. But to go and look at all the actual government agencies we're paying for, and do we really need them? But let's just take the Department of Education, for example. Okay, first of all, when we went to a standardized national test, how bad did that fuck us over? Just saying. So kids are learning how to take a test. They're not actually learning anything. They're learning how to take that test.
We have something similar to that here as well.
It's nasty. It's nasty. And then the fact that what are they all doing besides sitting around watching porn? The educational structure should actually begin in the community, and it should probably stop just about there, unless it goes to a state level. If you have a state governing body that manages your educational system within that state, the states are supposed to be the ones with the rights, not the federal government. Go back and read this stuff, and it makes sense. You're on a local plane.
It's kind of it's the weirdest thing. It's just for security, right? Of which you don't really have security. I hope you know that your security and our security in a first world nation is at the tip of your own weapon. Okay. Any security that you have is an after effect. Okay. If you get beaten up in an alley, they'll come down after the fact.
No way.
Try and find the person. I've never seen anybody suddenly appear to in a cape to redirect an attempted rape or something. I've never seen that. It's always after the fact. So.
No, Ems, I'm not talking about the kids watching porn. I'm talking about the people at the federal level in the Department of Education. Do you know who they are? Do they represent your area? And are they just sitting somewhere watching porn, doing nothing, getting paid a federal paycheck with all the benefits? I mean, I kind of want that job. Just saying.
You wouldn't do without the porn, though, right?
I don't know. I'd probably watch horses, honestly.
You know what?
Not horse porn, just horses. Jesus. Okay, let's don't get carried away.
Canada has a real good education system. It really does. However, it's antiquated.
Hey, furry stickers.
It's antiquated. You know, if I was a young parent right now, right today, and I had like a 10-year-old child, I would prefer that child learns how the world works, not how it worked before. I would prefer that my child, when they graduated high school, knew exactly how mortgage rates work, exactly how the stock market works, exactly how the government works.
That's what we did.
And the layers. I would prefer my child come out of high school knowing exactly how law enforcement and freedom work. I would prefer that they know not what happened back in 1823 or, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff, because it's not relevant to their life.
Right. We literally have representatives in our Congress today who cannot name the branches of government.
That's true.
That's disgusting. I mean, when I was in school, we took, I guess it was a couple of months. Everybody got the New York Stock Exchange. We played it. We set up our own little companies, and we played the stock exchange. We learned how it works.
Exactly.
Practical knowledge that's going to carry you through life. Right.
This is how you budget your account. This is how you do banking. This is, all that stuff. So that when you come out of high school, you're ready to face the world. Because I don't remember learning any of that stuff in high school, or from kindergarten up. I don't remember learning anything practical that in my hand, except for math and English, except that I could go out into the world and understand what they were talking about. I had to learn it as a matter of time. And I don't believe that the police should be defunded. I believe, well, I do believe they should be. I do believe to a point. I believe police need to authority. Let's call it authority. They need to follow the law. But some of the things that they're issuing tickets for and they're doing is a complete waste of your freedom. When you're rolling down the highway and by accident you're listening to your favorite song on the radio and you get nailed with a $100 speeding fine, that's a complete waste You know what I
It's
mean?
the song's fault.
Yeah, well, it's a complete waste. That's a cash grab.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or you're
I mean,
jaywalking or whatever.
my thing is anytime that you want the federal, you think it would be a good idea to involve the federal government in anything,
Yeah.
go visit your local DMV.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just saying, these people can get it wrong. Listen, I applied for a job with the U.S. Census Bureau back in January.
Yeah.
They were supposed to start in April, second week of April. They still have not opened.
Yeah.
That's the federal government, y'all.
Well,
that's constitutionally mandated. That census.
Who here on the panel remembers the 80s? Anybody was
I do.
Me? I was having a damn good time in the 80s.
Well,
70s and 80s.
Want to know something? You just coined it. You had a great time in the 80s. Yep. I too am a child of the 80s, and you know what? When
Ronald Reagan
in the late 80s or mid 80s, you know, I was hoping for a house.
Yeah.
I was hoping for a good job.
Yeah.
I was hoping for a good car. And those things were actual possibilities. Like they were actual things that I could attain.
Right.
And I didn't have to be a lawyer or a doctor or, you know, just an ordinary person. I was looking forward to those things and they were attainable. You ask your children today, they don't even think about shit like that because it's just not attainable.
Right.
Like, I don't know what areas anybody lives in, but if you live anywhere near a major city, you might as well stick your thumb in your nose because there's no hope of hell of you getting like $500,000 starter house.
No.
No.
Well, it's like our kids here, because we're in the deep south, but we know how to do stuff down here because we're like survivors. Like y'all are dying in the heat this morning. I'm chill. I've been in 115-degree heat index for the last week. Yeah. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, see,
they're all dying.
They just don't think about those things. But I mean, the hope.
My son-in-law went to a very small college. He got an engineering degree, and he's making a really good income. You know, they have a home. They've got vehicles that are paid for, nice vehicles that are paid for. But he went on to college. Now, granted, he had grandparents and parents that helped with that cost. Yep. But I've seen cops that my ex-husband worked with that went to predominantly black scholarships on a minority colleges on a minority scholarship.
Yeah.
You know, and pretty much got a free ride to college. Now, if that's not Southern ingenuity, I don't know what is.
But you know, you know what, Evelyn, you beat me to the punch. Today, college doesn't mean a lot. College today.
Well, it depends on if you go and you get a liberal arts degree, if you get a, gender studies degree. Come on.
I can
Where
remember,
are you going to work?
But I can remember back in the day, in the 80s, if you had a bachelor's degree, you were doing good. A bachelor's degree today doesn't mean
nothing.
It doesn't.
But here's the thing: when I got my bachelor's degree, in nursing, it meant something back. There were not a lot of associate degree nurses back then.
Right.
Same licensure, but different degree. But they did the same thing and they got the same pay, which didn't make any sense. But okay. But then here we are, 25 years later, and you can become a nurse in 20 minutes and never have to take care of a patient. Never put your hands on a patient.
Yeah.
Really?
And you can have a master's degree. Oh yeah.
Oh, I was going to say never put your hands on a patient. Man, I was wrestled to the ground about 65 times when I was in
butt grabbed, boob grabbed. Yeah, you name it.
And you can't move, and you're looking at the ceiling. Says, "Is somebody got their hand in my ass?"
Yeah,
morning,
exactly.
Becca reborn.
But it's all changed. It's all changed. The entire educational system, even at the collegiate level, is completely different. I sat next to a master's prepared nurse, a certified nurse or a licensed nurse practitioner, who was asking me what I was doing there that day. I was told her I was working agency.
Right.
And she said, "Oh, that's cool." I said, "But I used to work here. I was a supervisor here." Okay. She goes, "Well, I'm just so excited. I just got a job here. I just finished my master's degree. Got my license, the higher level licensure." And I said, "Well, and you're working for the doctor here?" And she said, "Oh no, I'm a nurse on the floor. I've never worked the floor before." I just kind of scooted my chair away from her. Like, don't ask me anything else. Go the hell away. You have taken the easy route to success, and you scare me because you're going to kill people.
Yeah.
You have no idea what you're doing. There's no supervision over you. When I got out of school, you worked for at least 6 months under another nurse. Because it didn't matter if you had an education and a license. It did not matter. They needed to know that you knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
So, but that doesn't happen anymore. They just hire you. It's like, damn.
Oh,
Well, I'm not responsible for her.
any nurses I ever met, man, they don't take no shit. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
They wouldn't take
My sister-in-law and my niece are both nurses, and they take their job seriously.
It works the exact opposite now, Remy. She said, I applied for a registrar's job at the hospital, required a bachelor's degree and 4 years experience. How the hell do you get that? Well, I have 25 years as a bachelor's prepared nurse, registered nurse. I'm retired from that. I want to go and work marketing for hospice. Okay, they don't want me unless I have a license.
Right. See, but what you're saying is there is a direct lack of opportunity. Because I can remember, like, I don't mean to be talking old school all the time, but I can remember, I have a friend who is about 70 years old, and she's just a little thing, a little chubby thing. And she was a nurse her entire life. I don't even know how we got on the topic and what year she got. But I asked her, how did you get into nursing? Was it a dream of yours or something like that? Because she was a nurse. And she said, no, I just applied at the hospital and, I worked my way up, and she retired as, I don't know what they're called, not a head nurse, like but a floor nurse or something, or like in charge of the floor or something.
A charge nurse, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, well, did you go to school, nursing school, something? No, I just signed up, and they trained us there. You start off as a junior nurse, all your training and education comes from an assistant to direct hands-on experience.
Evelyn says, Masters of Social Work. I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I work 70 to 80 hours a week. I do my job for the outcome, not the income, because trust and believe, I hardly make any money.
And that's exactly why I left, for those two reasons.
And what did you have to do to get that title? That's the question. You probably had to jump through hoops.
Yeah, you did.
And
but
she said, but I'm getting too old and the stress is taking a toll on me.
Right. I left for that reason. Well, both of those reasons, Evelyn. Number one, I left here in 2000 from Texas. 2008. I was making $28 an hour. I came back to Texas, thought about going back into nursing, and checked out. The highest pay for nursing here in Texas and where I live is $28 an hour. I've been gone for 10 years. I'm like, have you seen my resume? It's like 50 pages long. Are you kidding me? There's nothing I can't do. But then they won't hire me because the people who hire you are afraid you're going to take their job.
Yeah.
I don't want your job. I've had it. It sucks.
Well,
I want to come do my job and then go home.
Here's something to consider just in comparison to the times. I'll tell you a story about my mom and dad. Okay. My mom and dad were at their age, their time were, I don't even know if they graduated high school. Okay. They were blue collar factory workers. They were the people that lifted the boxes and did the thing or was on the assembly line. Okay. My mom worked at a gum factory and she would watch chiclets go down this little assembly line
and make sure they weren't off square, right?
Right.
But Becky is saying some trade jobs make more than several degrees.
Yeah, because we don't have people to do those trades.
But you know what? My dad did this thing. You know the cigarette cartons and the cartons you get your shit in, like little packaging? They would come on a big skid, and he would have like a jackhammer, and he would have to try and take the trim off of all those boxes. It was like a stack of flattened out boxes. Okay, that's what they did for a living. My mom and dad owned their own home, plus they had a cottage that we used to go to every weekend, and they would stock the fridge and do all this stuff, TV and the water and a boat.
That was life. That was life.
We would have dinner out as a family Friday night. I can remember going with my mom to the bank so she could cash the checks. And then we were on the road, had dinner, than went to the cottage. My father bought a 24-foot Tempest bow rider with a 500 horsepower Black Max engine in it, brand
Y'all did
new.
some skiing, didn't you?
Yeah, still had the plastic on it, and these were two people were the equivalent of working at Amazon.
Yeah.
They did all that in their lifetime on a minimal amount of money. You can't do that today.
Well, I'm trying. If COVID hadn't happened, it'd probably been better, but because I haven't worked in 3 years.
But I mean, as a family unit, those kinds of
I don't have children, and all my bills are paid.
A cottage for an ordinary working class family is like, if you don't inherit it, there's no chance you get that.
Yeah.
So there's a difference. There's a steady decline, and I think people are just kind of, their wants are more than their expectations are higher than what they get, and then there's that general frustration.
Champagne taste on a beer budget.
Well, yeah.
You can make it with hard physical labor, but there's not much extra after that. Really, like there used to be back in the day. Like Tucker's talking about, it used to be back in the day. You have a factory job like that. You could be able to afford those things and still have a little extra. But now today, if you don't make a certain amount or you're not in a certain field, you'll make just enough to make it.
Right.
Well, the reason why I left nursing was, which I was saying before, not so much the money, but if I did want to make more money, get things paid off, put myself in a position to be able to retire, I had to literally work for agency, which was going into some of the worst places ever.
Hey, Carla, grab yourself an English muffin. For those still interested, I hope sometime very soon to start back up my channel. Thanks. Oh, Simon, thank you.
I wouldn't want to be a nurse these days. I wouldn't want to deal with people like me. I'd punch them in the face.
Well, when you come home every day and you face commercial after commercial that's telling John Q. Public, if you think you've been mistreated or whatever, just call this number and this law firm will take care of you and sue those nurses and doctors and yada. And guess who gets sued? The nurses. So there's that. But then I had to go into places that were absolutely despicable, where the kitchen crew would walk out. And not only am I taking care of medications and patients and dressings and wrappings and all this, I'm also cooking the food.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm making more money, but I'm putting my health, my licensure, and my freedom. People were going to jail, prison, right and left, when I was last working, because of one key phrase: we're going to crack down on the medical. And it wasn't pharmaceuticals, it wasn't big hospitals, it was the people on the ground working day in and day out. So there's that. The second thing was that when you let any form of the government into your business, things change, and they change quickly, and they don't change for the better. No. When you're telling me 1 minute that I have to believe whatever a patient says about their pain, screw my judgment, screw my assessment. I'm watching this 30-year-old chick who had a laminectomy, eating a triple burger from Wendy's, drinking a Coca-Cola, yakking on her phone, talking about getting her nails done, watching television, telling me her pain level's at a 10. And I have to believe her because she wants that Vicodin. And by God, I better go get it, or she's going to pick up the phone and call either the state or the feds. Yeah. Well, then you go get the Vicodin. Really? Then you turn around. Oh, yes, sir. You believe what the patient says. That's what we functioned under the first 10 years of my career. The second 10 years, it was, they don't get anything. They don't get a Xanax, an Ativan. And you're sitting there watching this patient, 30 years old in the bed with sickle cell, writhing in pain. And you know damn good and well she's at a 15 pain level. There's no 10 for this woman. And I can't give her anything but a Tylenol. I threw my hands up and said, you know what? Fuck it. Y'all do it. Yeah. You're so good at it. You know so much. You do it. Because I can't do this. I can't treat people inhumanely day in and day out just because you said I have to. You teach me all about this nursing judgment crap in school, and I get to practice it for about 5 minutes. And then you load me down with 30 patients so that you ensure in a 16-hour day, I get to spend, maybe if I'm lucky, an hour with a patient.
So are nurses considered nurses, EMS, social workers, what else? police departments, doctors, are they all considered essential service?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Some of them, yeah, most
If
all.
there's a hurricane in Southeast Texas, you stay.
Yeah.
And I
You
think
don't get a
Miss
leave.
will agree. Everything you learn in school is nothing like you do on the field.
Exactly. They tell you how you're supposed to do it according to the law. And if you have one patient for a day, that would be great. But when you walk out of school and they hand you 15 to 30 patients, you go, what the fuck? Yeah.
And you
better
guys
learn
don't make
quick.
that much money? Like I think you'd be the highest paid of
Absolutely not.
yeah.
Nope.
No.
Unless you do something really risky like travel nursing or agency,
Yeah.
where you literally put your freedom on the line. You do. And when you have the feds breathing down your neck because people are receiving Medicare or Medicaid payments, and it's very quick and easy to accuse you of a lot of things that aren't necessarily true, and you've got families breathing down your neck, and people lie. Trust, they lie. So yeah, I just went, no, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore.
Or you don't get overtime either?
Oh yeah, you get overtime, sure. Yeah. But when you've worked a 16-hour shift, most places it's not really legal to do that.
When I was in the hospital, they work 12-hour shifts, but sometimes but the regular shift was 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's what their day was. And I think they got I don't know how it worked. They got a day.
They are Becky Boo. They're judgmental about pain.
And do it.
I can't tell you how many times I sat down in a nursing report to hear that bitch is whined all day about pain. All she wants is pain medicine. Just go give her some. And I'm like, okay, so you've made me believe before I even met this woman what she is. And that's probably not the fact at all.
Nurses have unlimited patience. The guy in the next room where I was, my God, this guy was such a pain in the ass. Mm-hmm. Like he was an older guy. He just wanted to go home, and he started tearing his the lines out. Mm-hmm. And they actually had to tie him to the bed. But I listened to the conversation. The nurses would talk to him for hours and hours. Literally hours and hours, trying to calm him down. And eventually they had to tie him to the bed. And then all night long, he was wanting someone bring me a sharp knife or some scissors and stuff. Mm-hmm. I told him I was going to smother him.
Well, see, here you can't do that without extensive paperwork. You can't tie somebody to the bed anymore.
Well, they had to.
It doesn't matter.
Here
in the States, in the States, no, you have to have orders. You have to have constant assessment. You have to assess them every hour. Take them out, check their circulation, their movement, put them back in. You have to have follow-up orders every 24 hours. It has to be updated. It's like a bureaucratic spider web to even think about putting somebody in restraint.
I'll never forget this poor old guy. He wanted to go home so badly because he had to clean out his garage.
Yep.
But he was older. He was an older guy, and but they treated him so kindly. I don't have that in me. I personally don't have that in me. But
I would have it in me if I didn't have 29 other patients to deal with, plus that one.
Neither does Miss Amina anymore.
I don't anymore. It got to a point where I was so jaded. I was just like, man,
But I think the whole it's hard to explain. It's almost like a mass feeling of disappointment. That's why everybody's angry.
That's right, Becky. That's exactly what it is. They will tell you. The state agencies and federal agencies will tell you when they come in, and they'll say you can't use restraints. You have to be a restraint-free facility. The patient has the right to fall. Okay, sure, they do, but then it becomes incumbent on me. I have the responsibility to let them fall without injury.
Not me. They put a label on me that if I get up, I would fall down. It was a big sticker.
Well, yeah, you have to put those on there. You have to put those on the patient so that everybody knows that once you've read that, that's now your responsibility to keep them from injuring themselves when they do fall.
Oh.
Throughout the 80s and 90s, nursing was a pleasure. It truly was a pleasure. Yes. It was rewarding. Mm-hmm. But then all these stipulations fell into effect, and they was more worried about tracking. They was more worried about the paperwork than they were the human care.
Yep. They started doing the whole, basically they put hospitals and nursing homes or any care center facility. They put them on a hospital ranking scale, a hotel ranking scale, where you would have to go in and fill out these surveys as a patient.
You get written up, so then they put your name in the computer. It says right there, obstinate patient. That's what they do.
I have done that.
Yeah.
Like,
I got that a couple times.
patient is irritable.
Yeah, irritable.
Patient is irritable.
I got that. I got rode up.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the patient nurse ratios are dangerous. I think personally, 12 hours is not a good plan. I don't think that a nurse needs to be on the floor doing what they do for 12 hours at a time. I think 8 is good. You need to be able to get. Most nurses don't take a lunch. They lie. No, they clock out, and then they go back on the floor, and then they clock back in.
They eat at
the nurse's station, which is gross.
Yeah.
They don't pee. I've gone 8 hours and not peed.
That's why they walk around with bladder infections.
That's right.
I'll vouch for you on the nurse's station and the private areas of hospitals and medical.
It's nasty.
It is because you're in such a hurry.
I didn't mind the 12-hour shifts though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I would imagine after 8 hours of dealing with people, you've had enough.
Yeah, you do.
You need to rest, and you're probably not on the top of your game by the end of your shift.
Oh, hell yeah. 12 hours of looking at old man ass.
Well, it depends on what unit you was stationed. It depends on what unit you was on.
I loved ICU. Everybody's intubated and on Diprovan.
Well, with ICU, you only had one to two people to take care of at a time. Yeah, you're assigned very, very, personal care.
Yeah.
Yep. I have had 4 patients in ICU before.
Have you?
I have. Yeah, I have. It was not fun. That's why they burn out so quick when they do that to you. It's like, shit. What do you want me to do? Somebody's going to die. Hopefully me.
I guess, misdemeanor, as long as you were in that field and watching people suffer and watching people leave and seeing that is probably why you developed a really good sense of empathy today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would think that, that helped you personally, even though it was someone else's pain. You're watching what people go through. You would have a little more love and compassion for them, and that's probably where you would probably. It seemed like you fit right in that field.
You do, but then some of them you want to slap the shit out of because they're so hopeless for themselves.
Yeah, you got to try,
and they can do better.
Right.
So it's a catch. What do they call it? 22.
I have seen nurses tell aides that they got their education, they have their nursing license, they're beneath wiping an ass.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Tuck,
give me that rag.
Tuck, how long was your stay in the hospital after you had your transplant? I remember you said this before.
It was really short. Like the biggest length of time that I spent in there was waiting. I didn't even have a surgery. I spent a month and a half waiting. Yeah. When I actually had the heart transplant, and it sounds like it was a big deal, but I was only in there for 7 days. From operation to getting out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spent 2 days in this, I don't know what it's called, ICU, but
CBICU probably.
Or like be in ICU.
Yeah, I spent 2 days in there,
and stepped down.
Yeah, then they moved me to a room, and they taught me how to change my bandages and stuff like that. Yeah. And they took blood readings, whatever they take, and they said, you know what, you're good to go. There's no more that we can do for you here, because it was just a monitoring stage. But the length of time, I spent 2 months in the hospital, but a month. But like I said, 2/3 of that time was sitting around waiting because I had to have medication. You guys have this medication. I can't remember what it's called in the United States. You can take it home. It's an IV drip that you can take it home, and what it does, it supercharges your heart. That's the only way I can describe it. It makes your heart stronger chemically. I had to stay because we're not allowed to take that stuff home. We have to have it there, and it's attached to you 24 hours a day. And that's why I had to spend so much time.
I wonder what it is he's talking about. I'm lost.
What's that? Do that, Eagle. Yeah.
Yeah, and my heart I would have died if I hadn't taken this medication.
Was it to regulate your rhythm? Probably.
I don't know what it was, but I felt great. Like I felt guilty being there.
Well, probably because your rhythm was what it should be, and you had a brand new heart. You got a brand new engine. Imagine how a truck would feel. Just saying. And things with heart, they either go really good or they go really bad. There's not really
he would be on
between.
medications the rest of his life.
Because, I mean, I take a fistful of this stuff.
Absolutely.
Every morning and every night. I mean, I'm used to that now. But I mean, if honestly, if I was at home and they had called me and I went in, I would have been essentially in the hospital 7 days. That would.
Do you know what beta blocker you're on, Tucker?
I take
the beta blocker. You would have to be on a beta blocker the rest of your life. One?
I don't know what it's called, but I take atorvastatin and I take
atorvastatin.
Yeah. Lansoprazole. It's called. Oh yeah, that's what it's. Oh, lansoprazole, lansoprazole, whatever.
Okay.
And then I take this other shit called perindopril.
Right. This other shit. I love it.
Yeah, and then I take prednisone, and I take
prednisone.
Atorvastatin.
That's atorvastatin. You said that one.
I take this shit called tacrolimus, and the important one is called. It's this stuff that actually nobody else can touch it because it changes the DNA in your system. It's called Cellcept mycophenolate. I don't even. Who the hell makes it?
Is that the anti-rejection? Probably.
Yeah. Like nobody else can touch it.
Now the steroid prednisone. Did you notice how moody? Do you know if you get moody with that?
Well, I was a little bitch. My whole life. Yeah. So you can only imagine. You can only imagine what I'm like now, right? So,
there are.
I don't see any. There's no side effects that I can identify except my hands shake. They said that would go away, or I get used to it, or whatever. My vision increased, and then it's actually decreased, but that's maybe a age thing. What else? And sometimes I get a stomach ache, like for no reason. Like just a mild belly ache. But aside from that,
that's another thing that could be with aging too.
But I mean, even with a heart and stuff like that, I won't be running any marathon anytime soon. But I feel a hell of a lot better than I used to. I mean, shit, I would fall asleep at my desk just feeling just miserable. And if it was 1% humidity, I mean, that would kick the living shit out of me. One thing that I do notice, though, is for whatever reason, don't know why, man, I can really take the heat. Not the humidity, but I can really take the heat, yeah.
Evelyn says Tucker is mean to people who have specific political affiliation. That's a side effect of his meds.
He can't be mean to me, even though I disagree with him.
He's never been mean to me.
That's a really old joke between her and I that goes back a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. She called me a stupid conservative, something dumbass liberal. But she knows I'm half and half. I'm half conservative.
You sound kind of independent or libertarian to me here. You're in Canada, right?
Yeah, I believe in a lot of the liberal values. I really do. But
see, that's my thing. Social liberalism, I don't really care. It's none of my business what you do in your life. As long as you don't infringe on my liberties, I'm good. I don't care. But the political conservatism that I have, where you've got a constitution, there's a reason why this country was formulated. There's a reason why they wrote it the way they did. Yeah. And it's worked. And we're a baby country, and look what we've done with our baby life. And I don't see why so many people want to change it. Listen, if you want to be in another country, go live there.
My problem is this, okay? My problem is this. I'll generalize it. If you talk about the police and defunding, I'm not an advocate of defunding the police. I'm an advocate of readjusting where the funds go. More social training.
Here's the thing: what people are not, what y'all are missing. Look at where the defunding is coming from. They're not saying the federal government does not fund local police departments. They subsidize them very little, I might add.
Yeah.
But the funding comes from the local government or state government.
Well,
So when you're defunding, you're doing that on the state level, not a federal, but they're putting it on national television and not explaining that. They're not spelling that out.
more training. As time goes on, we lack social skills. You see it every day on YouTube. So simple social skills. Evelyn requires, as a part of her job, whether it's through training or just her personality, she requires a highly advanced sense of social behavior.
Yes.
You can't be talking to somebody and they're trying to work something out and you're just fucked then. You're fucked in the head. You can't behave that way. Nurses have an amplified, even if it's only during work, nurses have an amplified social skill that few people actually have in the real world because they require it. Yeah. Authority also requires an advanced social skill, whether it's empathy, whether, whatever the case may be. And people are actually losing that. I was watching the video. Now, I don't know the details of this, okay, whatsoever. But there's some old guy, old cripply, old bald-headed, gray-haired old guy, comes up to a cop. They're pushing down the street, doing their thing. And I get it. But the guy got pushed over. So he's a frail guy. And he busted his head open. He's laying there bleeding on. Did anybody see that video? And the cops walk by and one cop drops down to help him out. And they go, we've got EMT or whatever the hell they call it on the street. They'll help them out. It's like there's a complete lack of social empathy for your brother and your sister. And that's what people see on media. I think that if you don't defund but invest more in training.
Come talk to me, girl.
Right. Well, that's how we weeded out the good nurses from the bad nurses.
But did they ever train you, though? Did they ever train you?
No, because that's a natural thing. That's a natural thing. It should be whenever you enter that field.
I don't think it's natural at all. I used to think it was natural. You're either polite or you're rude.
Well, it is with some. It's.
I learned how to be rude as a nurse. No, I think
you could never show it to the patient, though.
No,
or family members or doctor.
That's the frustration with social media, because you have to be of that mindset for 12, 16 hours a day and accept a whole lot of things you would rather not accept. And that goes against every fiber of your being, but you have to smile and say, I understand. That's fine. I'll take care of that.
Smile, show
and then you go home and you want to kick the dog. I look at my husband and go, don't need me for anything. Nothing. I'm going to go get on social media and I'm going to be a conservative bitch. Okay. And I'm going to tell y'all all about yourself because now it's my turn to have my beliefs, and that's wrong too. I can't do that either. But
Evelyn, it's not natural for everyone. It's not natural, but I believe that social behavior is a learned thing. That you can unlearn rudeness and, or empathy or sympathy or whatever. You can learn those traits if you yourself don't have, even if it's only at your job, And I do believe, I often wonder when I hear the numbers, when you look at the contrast, when you hear, you watch the news. Canada just spent 150 million over here, and you're going, what the hell's that? Never heard of it before. Trump just spent 495 million or dollars on this over here, or whatever. Biden just wants to spend $1 trillion on this or whatever. And then you click on and you see a video of some family that's literally starving to death because, someone got sick and they don't have medical insurance. And like when you see the contrast and things like that, I mean, the big old question mark should pop up over your head. It's like, how can this be? How can this be that way? And you're talking billions of dollars that are exchanged through first world countries. It's not just us. It's not North America, United States and Canada. I'm talking Australia, the UK, anybody like that. The money that's spent on things that we just don't even have a clue of. And then you see your neighbor, I don't know. Weird.
Yeah. Carla.
Yeah.
Did you say furry stickers was in here a while ago?
Yep.
Furry stickers. Yeah.
Well, tell him hello, furry stickers.
They were. They said hello.
I can't see the chat. Hello, buddy.
Becca Reborn was in here too, who I've never seen.
I didn't see. Well, I didn't see Becca either. Hi, Becca. They're Tucker's friends as well.
She might still be
my
in
Leo.
Good morning. Good morning.
Talk to me, sweet girl. Talk to me, sister.
Okay, I'm addressing this to good old Tucker. Okay. I want to ask you a question. Hi.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you seem to watch the news, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you've seen what's gone on in America with civil unrest and stuff, correct?
Yeah.
So you've also seen police officers stand at a protest, quote unquote, riot and be spit on. Hit with
complete lack of that kind of stuff doesn't happen here.
Okay. Well, but from what I take from you is, police officers need to learn more.
So
empathy.
Let me add a caveat to that, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
So do we.
Right.
We as the public, I believe that spitting on, throwing, trying to beat, trying to set on fire the very people that are hired to protect you. Doesn't matter if you're a police officer. I've seen nurses spit on. I've seen people that are trying to help people be brutalized.
I hate it when they grab my boobs.
I am not an advocate of that. I'm not an advocate of that. We also, as a race, as humanity, need to learn our own boundaries. I agree with you 100%.
Because I'm going to tell you, my husband's been a police officer for 20 years. Okay. And I have seen personally how he's changed in 20 years.
Yep.
Okay. I deal with it every day. When he goes to work, he's one person because he has to toe the line. He has to respect. He has to kiss people's butts. He's got to put on a facade. He has to ignore so much. And when he comes home, some days he shuts down.
Yep.
And I know it's the same way with nurses.
Let me tell you what my reaction would be, Leo's wife. Let me tell you what my reaction would be. If I was standing in a lineup with officers ordered to protect the perimeter, standing there minding my own business, and somebody spit in my face when I was standing there, you know what would happen to them? They get a club upside their head.
Right. But see, when they do that, though,
we can't do that here.
They can't do that.
No, their bosses are elected officials.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There were 3 cops on the Brooklyn Bridge just last week.
Yep.
Who had all their heads busted open.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
They all went to the hospital. The guy went to jail and got out 3 hours later.
Of course.
Now, I don't care how much, but if they would have shot him dead, they'd all lose their jobs, be arrested, and have to go to court.
It's a horrible job. I agree.
He'll be tried for first-degree murder, even though,
I agree.
It's gotten to where
Leo, what I was trying to explain is that there is a lack of empathy towards, not empathy. What would you call it, Leo? An element of respect, I guess. Police authority. That's not police authority. Need to respect the population. In return, the population should respect authority. That was my meaning there.
Right. And I mean, I agree. There are some police officers out there who have a badge complex, who, do treat people badly. And I'm not dismissing that at all.
We're not talking about those people. We're talking about the
majority. Right. The majority, though, I mean, my husband carries stuffed animals in his trunk. So when he goes to domestic calls or car accidents where there's children involved.
I could probably tell you exactly what's in his trunk. A case of water, some toys, a shotgun, and a med kit, and probably some candy bars.
And riot gear.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Right here.
right
Yeah.
there. Yeah, that's
And
what,
I get it. I don't even watch the news anymore because I can't mentally
No.
handle it.
yeah.
But all
do
this
I.
defund the police and all this, it's really disheartening because if there weren't police, we'd be in big trouble.
Yep.
Big trouble.
You've taken
Yeah.
God out of the equation. Now you want to take cops out. So who are you going to call when you need help? You don't have God, you don't have cops.
Yeah, it's very scary. It's very scary that so many people are against the police. Now, luckily, where we live, we have a huge pro-police population.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of cities and counties who don't have that, and it's very sad because of a few people. I mean, you can count the number of people on two hands probably who are disgusting cops who do horrible things.
Well, but Leo's wife, isn't it the same old thing, right? People always tend to paint a very large brush over.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? You'll always have good nurses, and you will always have bad nurses. You will always have good cops. You always have bad cops. You'll always have good politicians.
There's always going to be a bad apple. Exactly.
Right.
The goal is to have more good than bad. But the problem is that there is a total lack of human respect as individuals.
I urge the public to. How hard is it to comply? How hard is it to comply? These entitled people do not comply.
Right.
It's true.
And I've always told my son, especially, even though he is a cop's kid, okay, if he goes to Florida, say, nobody knows that. So if you get pulled over by a police officer or stopped by a police officer, you do what he says, okay, whether you think you're right or not, I don't care. And if you're going to get arrested, go to jail, and you can always fight it in court. But don't be an idiot and start running your mouth,
right?
Fighting, running, whatever. Because no matter what, you're putting, when you start doing that kind of mess, because a lot of cops
Leo,
get
it's the thing is I agree 100% with you. If you get pulled over, believe me, attitude will not be your friend.
Right.
Do what you're told, and then when it's all done, if you got a complaint, there are sources that you can go to.
Absolutely.
To have it
Bingo.
Flailing your arms and putting your window up or doing all kinds of stuff only exacerbates this very simple stop.
Right.
The same as when you're at Walmart. If you want to return something and they say, well, we can't because you bought it 5 years ago, flailing your arms and rolling on the ground at Walmart will
get you arrested and a 5150. Just saying.
Yeah. And my husband also works at the hospital part-time. So he has had to go into rooms where patients have been attacking doctors and nurses. He's had to, because there's some crazy patients in there, especially if they're in there for drugs or alcohol.
Especially in the ER department. Yes.
Yeah. And, he's had to get in between patients and nurses because they were abusing nurses or the staff, whatever the case may be. And, had to wrangle naked people and everything else.
That's always fun, especially when they're naked.
You can't defund the police. You can redistribute the funds to maybe better educate them, better equip them, more training, and because the world is different today, right? Because
see here though, they cut the police budget $1 million. Okay. So you figure $1 million, that's a lot of training. That's a lot of updated equipment. That's a lot of other things that they're not going to be able to do this next year because they defunded them $1 million. Right. So when you're defunding it all, you're taking away from all that training.
Yes, ma'am.
So, it's a double-edged sword.
It's taking away from manpower as well.
Yes. Yeah, and most police departments are short.
Exactly.
Or short-staffed. Because who wants to become a cop nowadays? If I was 21 years old, that would be the last thing I would apply for.
Well, yeah, you know, when you hear these things, Leo, in on the news and stuff, you hear, who is it now? Is it New York or?
Yes, it's New York. $1 billion. Yeah.
Yeah, $1 billion is New York.
I'm going, how the hell can you start to fund in the biggest crime center on the planet?
With the strongest, with some of the strongest gun laws, second only to Chicago.
Yeah.
Where good people can't have guns, but bad people sure as hell do. And let me just say this, and Leo, you can back me up on this one. If you want a nasty freaking police department, start cutting that funding, because the good ones will leave. They have to feed their families. Okay, the bad ones will stay no matter what you pay them, because they're evil little shits.
Evelyn Shelton has a good question.
You couldn't have said that any better, Misdemeanor.
Evelyn Shelton asked, she says, please ask Leo to talk to her husband and find out what he knows, what he has been trained on about trauma-informed care. I think she's talking about de-escalation, something like that, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, they are trained to de-escalate the situation, of course. I mean, if you ever watch, normally when you watch on the news and they're showing the body cam, for example, okay? When you have somebody with a weapon and you ask them to put it down, whether it be a knife, a gun, and they don't comply, you can't sit there and say, now, honey, this is the wrong thing to do. I mean, you have to understand that is their life or that person's life. You have no idea how much that person can handle that's holding that gun, okay, or knife. I mean, there was a woman cop not too long ago, it was on the news, where there was a man with 2 knives in his hands. And she kept telling him, put them down. Don't come near me. Don't come towards me.
Well, the officer has a right to go home to his family too.
Right.
I mean,
and I mean,
my ex-husband's favorite saying is, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
That's right. And that is the way it is. I mean, of course, there is not one police officer that wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to go kill somebody today.
No.
Not one. Because even though it's their job, their job may come to that, they still have to live with killing a person, whether it was justified or not. I mean, imagine having that on your heart for the rest of your life, that you did have to take somebody's life. And whether it was justified or not, that's not a good feeling to have. Just like doctors don't like people dying on their tables.
Right.
It's the same thing.
You know what the thing is? It's like, it's not really a flawed system. We are flawed people.
Yes. And it starts at home.
Right.
And every year it gets worse.
Right. So the system, it actually works, but we're flawed people. We are flawed people with all kinds of things going in and out of our minds. Who can know how you would react in a situation like that? Who can know? You can't. There's no textbook on anything that says this is exactly the way you would behave when you're staring down the face of a gun barrel.
Right.
And there's always Monday night quarterbacks.
Right. And Evelyn comes back with, she says, but what we are talking about here is the extreme when someone's coming at an officer with a gun or a weapon. A police officer confronting someone with a gun. She says that's not what these protests are about. That's, I just want
I don't even know what they're about, because I have had no experience with what goes on. You know how the media works? Like, okay, I'm Canadian, so I'm in a whole other country. Although we're the same in so many ways, I'm in a whole other country. I don't see the things in my daily life that I see happening on the streets of Los Angeles or New York or Texas and stuff like that. We either don't have it here or I'm just ignorant to it. I live in a bubble. I don't know. We just don't have it. That kind of stuff. Although I will tell you, these things that are happening in your country are slowly happening in ours too.
Right. Now with the George Floyd situation, that officer was wrong, period. You don't need to be on somebody's neck after you have them in custody. Okay. Now, do I know what happened before, in the middle, during? No. And that'll all come out in court. Okay. But but the officer in Atlanta,
Yes.
those two officers,
Yes.
they had the right to kill that man. Now,
I was going to ask you, I was going to bring that up, Leo's wife, and I didn't know if you wanted to discuss it, but that gentleman, you know, when they went to handcuff him, he did punch one of the officers, and he took his weapon and he ran with it. He ran with a lethal weapon and pointed it at that officer and fired it.
Yes.
And if I was that officer, I believe I would have fired.
I didn't know that part.
And if anybody has watched the body cam from in Atlanta, they were out with that man for 45 minutes.
Yep, they were trying to de-escalate.
Not only that, but that was a perfect scenario. The things that came out of that about understanding what a policeman goes through during a confrontation, an armed confrontation. I don't care if it was a taser gun. It doesn't matter. It could still be potentially lethal, first of all. Second of all, it could incapacitate him to the point where he could then walk over, get that police officer's weapon, and kill him with that.
But
what the cop goes through,
they even charged the other officer, which I don't know his name right now, because he fired and the bullet went into a car. And I think that our court system is going to have a hard time convicting these gentlemen. And I think that when they do get acquitted, I think we're going to have the same thing that we got now.
It's going to be worse. It's going to be worse.
They've got it scheduled so strategically, you know, with after the elections and everything else. That it's just, this is something that's on the back burner, in my opinion, to create more chaos. They shouldn't have been charged, in my opinion. It's sad that the man lost his life, but he was given every opportunity to de-escalate. He lied to him over and over and over again.
Yes.
They talked to him like a person, not a criminal, not somebody that was drunk.
Yep.
And he chose, look, if you want to get shot, just grab an officer's weapon.
Exactly. But the thing is and learning, hearing what some really awesome professional retired police officers will tell you after that shooting incident, where they don't remember often how many times they fired their gun. They think it was one, it may be five. They don't hear their weapon discharge. They have such tunnel vision. They are focused on that one person and that one person only. That's that training. That's that fight or flight instinct kicking in that people take for granted in these shooting cases a lot of times. Because
go ahead.
They want to stop that one individual before they hurt the cop or anyone else. And more than likely, it's the anyone else that kicks in for the cop above themselves.
That's what I was going to say. If this officer wouldn't have fired on him and let him run with that taser, let's say that gentleman tased someone to take their car. Or because he was trying to get away, you know, he's fleeing. Or what if he would have went in somewhere and held people hostage with a taser?
Well,
like that. Then that cop would have been wrong then too.
Brian, let me ask you this question, or let me ask everyone this question. We all know there's a system in place, and we all know that if you grab 25 YouTube videos or whatever the case may be, you can show a very bad aspect of legal authority, right? We all know that. But I mean, in general, I'm going to say it actually works. Like on the mass, the system generally works more so than the odd
Leo's wife.
The odd thing where someone mistakenly gets shot, or someone gets more aggressive, and an officer gets more aggressive with someone than maybe they should. I'm going to say that, let's say 90% of it works and 10% of it doesn't. That's a pretty good average.
Evelyn, grab that link too. Come up here.
It kind of has to work because that's all we have right now.
That's all we got. Like, what else can you, like, what else is there?
Yeah, you're right. Because you can't have police officers that are coming out to the job that appear weak, that don't have. They have to.
You know where I'll draw the line, though, Brian, is when you're walking down the street and you're not recognized in a particular neighborhood, and they stop you, or you get an $85 ticket for walking across the street on a red light.
Becca's in here.
Yeah.
Becca Reborn.
You know what I mean? Or you get you get $120 fine because you got caught doing
He's in the chat.
speed limit. That kind of stuff to me is not needed, I believe.
Becca, I so agree with
I would
you.
imagine they fund the police departments with better training and weapons and stuff like that with that kind of money. I would think you would think. But yeah, I mean the generation of generating revenue. I don't know. I'm up in the air with it because I think they need to have resources and they need to have.
Did you guys read the news clip where I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a judge, and he was just charged. And I think he was actually he determined that he was guilty. What they would do is they had this private prison, privatized prison, and he was actually sending innocent children to this prison and getting paid off by the prison.
I know what you're talking about. I remember reading up on that. I don't know the specifics, but I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So when you hear stuff like that and you're going, crime for pay.
Yeah.
And I think one young guy killed himself because he was completely innocent and the judge threw him in jail because he was getting paid private jails that make money off of inmates. There's a problem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Evelyn. It was in New England State. That's exactly where it was.
Simon, I like how you use that emoji to greet stickers in Becca. That's cool. I'm going to use that sometime.
Yeah.
The hand bump.
I could use another emoji for furry, but I won't.
Oh. I'm going to go grab Carla, I'm going to pop off. I'm going to go get refill my coffee. So if anybody else wants back on, and if you got an empty slot, I'll come back on. No problem.
Yeah, grab her.
Thanks for coming up, Doug. We appreciate your insights on stuff.
Have a good day, Tucker.
Thanks, babies.
Take care, Tucker.
Oh, by the way, you just been groomed. I'll be inside.
I wish somebody would groom me. I need to be groomed.
I know my hair is a mess right now.
I think that the more people talk about it, that's the main thing. I think the more people talk about their, each side of the story when it comes to cops, to where both sides can understand each other more, it'll make it better. But the rioting and the, destruction and all that is not getting anybody anywhere.
Yeah, when you get a steady diet of cops are all bad. They're not.
The civil discord between law enforcement and the civilians now is ridiculous because back in the day when I was a kid, we looked up to our police officers we knew them personally. You could talk to them. They were very helpful, and now as the world changes, it gets more aggressive. They have to as well. And it's hard to accept that. It really is.
Yeah. And when you're at Walmart and I've gone to public places with my husband in uniform. And
echo in a little bit.
And it might be me. Is it me?
I think so.
I can hear it.
Somebody.
Echo.
What do you hear?
I'm gonna leave and come back. It's probably me.
It sounds good on my end though. It's good to have her insight. Being.
I love that. I know. I wish Evelyn would come up here because I want to hear. Listen. You couldn't pay me to be a social worker for what they have to do. Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that.
I can't bring up the side chat because if I do, I'll get booted.
See, that's what happened
just
to me.
on my phone.
Right. But I think, when you go to Walmart, and we've been there with Eric in uniform, very seldom though, but back in the day, and you have some people who have little kids in the buggy and they're like, oh, there's a policeman, blah, blah, blah. And then you have others that say, you better be careful, he's going to take you to jail.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Police officers should be somewhere that your kid goes if they're in trouble. If they're lost or they're, whatever. And you're like, always go try to find a policeman. That's what we were taught when we were little. And now some people teach their children to be afraid. And that's not fair to your child, just like when they go to domestic calls and unfortunately somebody has to go to jail. That's what those kids are seeing. So of course they're going to associate a police officer with somebody who took their mom or dad to jail.
Yeah.
You know, they don't understand that that's their job and they had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why police officers will take toys or whatever with them.
Uh-oh.
That's a good song.
I'd better
Leave it
raise-
on. I was dancing. Dance break. Here we go.
But anyway,
She was
so
twerking. She
I was.
twerking. I know
I
she was.
twerked on my couch. I was twerking.
Now Simon bumped him some hearts. That's cool. That's creative.
yeah. So what are y'all doing today? Nothing.
Start a fad there.
I'm enjoying my cool weather today. What are y'all doing?
Becca says they're just a ring away, Simon.
It's a freezing here in Georgia. It's freezing.
I know we're
It's
cold.
freezing.
We're cold here. Isn't
I
it
know.
nice?
I think Furry Stickers was in here too, Simon.
Yeah, they're in there. They're in there.
Evelyn's in. Evelyn's up. Hi, Evelyn.
Yay,
Hi,
Evelyn.
All right.
Hi, Evelyn.
We got your cherry.
Hi.
We got your cherry. Oh, maybe not.
I don't know.
Carla
if she
popped my
popped her
cherry.
Is this your cherry?
Yeah, good. I
Being
popped
popped?
Leo wife's
Oh,
I
cherry.
think you've been on panel before.
Oh, I've been on panel before.
Yeah, I've seen
Damn.
The first time.
But never with
Damn it.
me. So that makes it cherry.
I like
Me.
popping cherries.
Well, Carl, I guess you popped my cherry on your panel. This is the first
It's
time.
Yes.
a juicy one.
There you go.
That's right.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters at the end of the day. So tell me, the defunding, Evelyn, you were talking about that earlier and talking about adding services or spreading that money over to more in the therapeutic area. Is that what I'm understanding? Like
I
a
think,
trauma?
I think that there's some, and I have to be honest, I don't trust any news anymore.
I don't either.
Amen.
There's really not any news that I trust anymore. And so I really don't know when they're talking about defunding. I know that some like police departments have, specially trained like mental health units.
Yep. Yep.
Or they integrate maybe mental health professionals in with a team that goes out when they know it's going to be a mental health call. That kind of stuff is my understanding. Also, maybe homeless services, things that typically might escalate, to the law enforcement having to get involved in. That's one of the things they've talked about is like law enforcement is involved in a lot of things they have no training in. Right. And so
exactly.
they are having to wear many hats. They're stretched very thin. So I don't know. Defunding is probably not a good word for it. I think we need to look at, diversifying and maybe broadening.
Yeah, the allocation of the funds, you mean? Like,
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
And the police, they earn their money. They earn their money and they are being gutted. I don't want to defund police departments. I do want to see them diversified.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that being really beneficial. You'll cut down on a lot of the burnout in cops when they're not having to wear 27 hats,
Yeah.
That would help. And it would be a better use of your community services.
Throughout the years, and I'm sure Miss Demeter can back this too, we've actually had to tell police officers because they didn't know how to handle a situation.
What does your husband want, Leo wife? He's still here.
I have never heard him say he wanted anything as far as, of course they want more manpower. I mean, that's the biggest thing is these officers are so, not so much here where I am because my husband is a sergeant, but in other places they're so shorthanded and these people are so overworked. They're working 7 days a week. And, here they work 12-hour shifts. So you figure, and then they're working extra jobs just to make ends meet. So, I mean, I think if there were more officers, but there's nothing you can't make people apply. You know what I'm saying? You can't. And then once they apply, they have to go through so much before they even get hired. And then they're trained for 6 months. I think they're pretty much trained on every situation. Now, grant you, when there's a mental health issue, normally here, they take them straight to the hospital.
Right.
It just
And they
depends.
give them to the nurses.
Even in the very beginning, though, I'm sorry to go back. The
You're
nurses on the panel will be able to probably testify to this. I work in a psychiatric hospital, but I think pretty much all nurses, because if you have emergency room experience or whatever, you're going to have to deal with mental health or people that are detoxing, that are not maybe right in their right minds. They're high on maybe
right.
drugs, and
Absolutely.
so we learn. I mean, watching that George Floyd tape, there's a few things that just kind of struck me, and one of them is that's CPI. That is like our restraint training 101. We learn not to restrain that way, not to restrain people in supine, not
Right.
to restrain people where we're restricting their airway.
Right.
And so that makes me wonder, okay, about the training of that police officer. Also, when you kind of look at the faces of you have, I guess, some rookies there with them, and I'm sure this thing has been like torn apart all over the place.
No,
But
the rookies were significant to me. Yeah.
right. So what kind of training did they get? Were they just thrown into the street without any training?
Or
No,
just
no.
a simple, or the
That's
simple
impossible.
training of the fact that maybe they were trained to question, but
Yeah.
never question a superior. That's scary.
Or to feel competent on their own in doing that kind of restraint.
Hmm.
They're not, yeah, but the thing is, when you look at that case, they aren't trained to hold somebody down like that.
Yeah.
I mean, for somebody to say, well, we're not trained to do that, they aren't either. That guy was totally.
I will say this.
But I have
I
a
will say
question
this.
for
I
the
called
nurses.
my
How long was that
ex-husband.
officer in the field? How long was that officer?
There was one for
He
4
was there
days.
a long time. He was there over 15 years.
Yeah,
15
I have a
years.
question
He had
for
a 15-year career. So I'm sure that he was trained in those types of situations about the airway and everything else
Well, but here's the thing. Here's my thing where that's
in a
concerned.
15-year period.
Is that I forgot what I was going to say. Y'all go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Go Evelyn. Go Evelyn.
You know what I think they should have? When they have those incidences where they call in a person to talk down someone who's going to commit suicide, or like a negotiator.
Yeah.
So, they're separate. They actually call them in. I think, really, that out of 2 officers in a car, just for argument's sake, that one should be capture and detain, trained highly. The other should also be trained in all the aspects of policing, also, but focusing on the counseling or therapy, or whatever you want to call it. Negotiations. 2 in the car, so that person can identify. I can't remember who said it. I think it was Leo or Misdemeanor said that, or even maybe it was you, Evelyn. When someone's kicking the windows out of a police car, that's not normal behavior.
Yep.
That's just not normal behavior. So if you had a team, one tactical, one therapeutic or therapy or counseling, that would be a good combination.
I was going to say, you've never been out with me on a Saturday night. You don't think that's normal? Really, I'm not that kind of person. I've never done that, but the thoughts crossed my mind.
Well, I guess that was going to be another question that I had actually for Leo, or just kind of when we're talking about like funding for police. I can remember going through like sexual harassment training. Who on this panel has not gone through sexual harassment training? For an employer, it is a check box, right?
Yes.
You go through maybe a computer module. You have to sign something that you like barely even read. Trainings are a joke. They're a joke.
They are.
And so you never really, when you're dealing with like de-escalation and empathy, those are not things that can be taught on a computer module.
No, but I'm not talking about internal. I'm talking about the hiring you. I'll hire you, and now you got to go through police training, but the focus of your training is counseling. You just happen to have police training. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
So like real training. I'm not talking about.
But you're looking at a lot of funding, and we're cutting billions of dollars.
In a perfect world, perfect world, there would be 2 cops to a car at all times.
Yeah.
We've never, where I live, they've never rode with partners. Okay.
My husband, my ex-husband, never rode with a partner.
In a perfect world, there would be 2 police officers to a car. There would be there would be somebody on call at all times.
Well, I thought everybody worked in twosies, you know.
No. Matter of fact, they didn't start doing
Not
it
even
again in
our
New York
time.
until they started gunning down cops in their cars.
It's not
Yeah.
chips. It's not high. What was that called? Chips, where they worked in twosies anymore.
Right,
They don't do
right,
that anymore.
right. I mean,
I'm sure
and I would love for my husband to have a partner. I mean, that would be ideal for me because he would always have a backup. You know, he would always have somebody there with his back.
Right.
But that's just, it's not possible.
It's not the norm.
And usually with a trained person who talks to an individual, like if they're locked up in a house in a hostage situation or whatever, normally you have maybe 1 or 2 per police department that does that. And they're usually with the SWAT team or
high
something
crime
like
area.
that, to where they're needed. Like, you know, if somebody's holding a hostage or somebody's suicidal and has locked themselves up in their house, things like that.
Yeah.
As far as the George Floyd case, that was all done wrong. And
Right.
any police officer will tell you that.
Yes.
That whole situation is not the norm. That
Do you
was a
think?
police
Do you
officer.
think it would have happened with a white man though?
Yes.
Yes.
You think the
Because
same?
in all
same
honesty,
scenario.
yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so that's
absolutely.
where I have a problem. They with what people are saying. It would never have happened to a white man, and
It wouldn't.
I think I disagree. I think it might have.
I think
Yes.
it might have.
If you have a cop,
that
and you know, with him,
same set of
Your robot.
Somebody's buffering. Yeah, you can't make it out.
I think it's Carla.
Yeah. With him, that police officer there had many complaints against him. He had other situations to where, in all honesty, here, he wouldn't even had a job.
Right.
You know,
Now, I will say this. I am absolutely floored. I called my ex-husband because I do this every time something comes up. And I asked him, he goes, what? I said, I just want one question. Okay, but I'm not talking about this all night, because he knew what I was going to ask him. I said, were you trained like that? He said, absolutely not. Now, after he made that statement, the next day, in a front page of our local newspaper, clearly they're changing their policies on training because they are trained that way. And so is the current sheriff's department in Lake Charles. My ex-husband hasn't worked for them. He's the head of the university police now. He retired from the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
They do currently train that way, and they're changing their policy for neck holds like that.
But I have a question.
Yeah,
the nurses on the panel.
In Canada, 2 cops per car, unless you're traffic, of course. But if you're cruising Toronto or Vancouver, it's 2 cops per car. Unless you're like doing, handing out tickets, the old radar trap, then it's 1 person. But yeah, it's. Let me ask you a question, Leo. I'm just
Daniel
curious.
Shaver.
Do you guys not have the same disciplinary rules right across the board in every state, every town, as far as discipline goes? You get so many complaints, you're gone. Doesn't matter where you're in. Kentucky.
No, I don't believe there is.
No, it's going to be different in every.
No, it's a buddy thing in some towns.
Now, Alan D. Welcome, Alan D. And Brian just did a really good video on the Daniel Shaver case. Most horrific thing I've ever seen in my life. I can't. And he had to fight to keep it up. YouTube kept trying to take it down.
I had to put it up 5 different times, change the title, and take the song out of it. But I appealed it and appealed it, kept putting it up. He finally gave up and let me have it.
That's just in the last week that happened. So, I mean, that he did that, not Daniel Shaver.
And the only time in most towns that you'll find 2 officers in the same car is if they're training a rookie.
Yeah.
And that's only for a few days.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Evelyn, what was your question, babe?
I'm sorry. So I had a question for the nurses on the panel. I'm assuming you guys went through restraint training. Is that correct?
Oh yeah.
So if you have been part of a restraint where somebody was being held supine and their airway was restricted and you were a new nurse and there was a veteran nurse, would you have felt like you could have spoken out and said
I'd have
something.
lost my shit.
yeah.
But I've always
Yeah.
been accused of opening my mouth too much.
Big time. Big
There you
time.
go. And that points to another issue right
Mhm.
there. Is
Mhm.
that in the police, I think, and it was something that maybe we need to look at also, and something that has been said is that maybe we need to empower people that aren't veterans to speak out when they know something's not right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now that should absolutely be done. Yes.
Yeah,
And
that's always been done in the medical field.
And for
Yeah.
my husband, he's been in situations where, like I said, he's a supervisor, but he's been in situations where there's been more than one person on a call, say, and the person that got there first had been there longer than, say, the other two people.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't say something. I mean, nothing as serious as George Floyd, of course, but just a regular call.
Right.
If you see something that is not right, you need to stop it there. And then after that call, go to the supervisor and say, hey, look, this is what was done. I don't think that was right.
See,
you know what I'm saying?
Leo, does your hubby do this? Because I can remember back in the day, there was a good thing and a bad thing.
Mhm.
Society's changed so much that you can track, or we'll call it doxing for all intents and purposes. When I was a kid, the same officers, I lived in downtown Toronto, the same officers were on the beat in the cars for years and years. You knew them by name. And the sad part is God, they knew you by name too.
Right. Better hope they didn't. Right?
Yeah, they knew I was. If I was at the park past 11 o'clock with my friends, oh my God.
I'm calling you daddy. We're going to go see your daddy.
You knew them. You knew them, and they knew you. And they used to go to the schools, and you knew him personally.
Right.
And God help us all. They knew your parents too, and the whole 9 yards. But it changed, and you don't know the officers and the police and the EMTs, and you don't know who they are anymore because they change them out because they don't want them to be part of the community, because eventually you go find out where they live, and then
Yeah, and remember, you used to couldn't get hired unless you lived in that community. Remember?
You had to live in the
not so
county.
much.
You had to live in
Yeah, but I'll tell you, there is a lot of outreach that I see going on in Houston in particular, in some of the areas, not all of them. And remember, Houston's not just Houston. Houston is Pearland, Sugarland, Katy, Magnolia, all that. So, but in some of those areas, there is a huge outreach for, especially during the day, summertime, cops making their beat, going around, getting out of their cars, playing some round ball with the kids, or some catch and toss, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead.
And I wanted to just say, and then I'll stop. I work, like I said, at a psychiatric unit on an adolescent unit, with teens. And just recently, I don't know whose harebrained scheme this was, but on Juneteenth, they wanted to make a banner. The recreational therapist decided they wanted to make a banner with the kids. It ended up in a lot of strife. It's a 28-bed unit. We probably had about 20 kids on the unit at the time.
Yeah.
And man, it was a volatile situation because you have kids of police officers, on the unit. You have people that have really, honestly, I'm going to be real truthful, have been traumatized by their interactions with police in the past on the unit. Right. And so I just wanted to follow this back around because they made the therapists go in afterwards because of it was very volatile. The techs didn't know what to do. They sent them all to their room.
Go to your room.
Right. Yeah.
Divide and conquer. So we came in, and I just want to bring this back around to what Leo said and what you guys are talking about. Where you're going to find peace is not in pointing out the differences, but what is
pointing out the similarities.
You have to.
Good point.
You have to find out what the similarity is. What is important. That's what it all boils down to. Those human relationships, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And that's true. And I think,
comment,
like where we live, we have, I would say the race is like half and half. Okay.
Yeah.
We're pretty even here. The only problem, like the police department was out to hire black officers. Okay. Because they want more black officers. I mean, they want them because Black people, when you have them as police officers and saying they're in those neighborhoods,
It
those
means
kids are
something.
more apt to listen to them. Do you know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? They're more
It
apt
means something.
to understand each other. And I think it's a great role model. But the thing is, you don't have many applying for the job. Now they have more Black officers that work here. And that's a good thing because they can, get out and play basketball, say with the kids and explain to them, hey, you don't have to live a certain lifestyle. You can grow up and
Yeah,
be,
see,
you know,
I agree.
a
They
part
used
of
to be
society.
involved in the community. And that's the
Yep.
difference.
Yes.
They're not involved in your local neighborhood. Lee,
Hmm.
when I was a kid, no lie and no exaggeration, when I lived in downtown Toronto, all the police cars were yellow with
Hmm.
one red light on the top.
Right.
And we had a couple cars, believe it or not, that had a pig's nose on the front,
Wow.
big pig's nose on the front,
Yeah.
on the front of it, and they were community police. And
Yeah.
it was funny. But when that pig mobile showed up, drove up with the
You
pig nose on it in front of your house,
better run and hide.
you were fucked.
Yeah. And
But
and that would be great, if more people would apply to where they would have more officers on in beats, you know what I'm saying? To
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
more officers could get out and interact with the children in the neighborhood, interact with the community more. But right now, crime has gone up so much in so many areas.
It's
So they're
virtually
constantly
impossible.
getting
see,
calls.
but you have to go back in time, Leo, and notice the difference. Let me just touch base on this. You'll all remember this. Back in the day, I can remember when I was a youngin', okay?
A youngin.
When I was a youngin', driving down Main Street, Toronto, whatever, if you had a half a case of beer in the back of your car and you got pulled over, this is what would happen. You get the lecture, the beer was taken, and you were sent on your way with a
Or
warning.
just pour it out in front of you. Yeah.
Or yeah, and pour it out while you stood there crying.
Yeah.
Right in front.
I
Right in
remember
front.
that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember those
And
days.
so
Yeah.
everybody's had something similar. Or if you had a little pot butt in your ashtray and they found it, you got the lecture
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
were sent on your way.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore.
Well, and let me say this about the hiring, okay? Maybe they need to look at their hiring practices because people make mistakes and get misdemeanors
Sure.
for drugs or drinking or whatever. And they want a second chance. And what they need is that stable income, that stable work schedule to get them right back on their life. And if they would look at it from, we'll consider, past histories. Okay.
Yeah.
Get them in there, talk to them. Some of those people will make the finest and lifelong officers you'll ever have, but they're precluded from even applying because of that history.
And they're also considered a liability if they're hired.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah,
see,
and
and that's the only thing. Yes, people make mistakes, but
Well, see, the
say
mistakes aren't overlooked these days. So that's my point. I'm not talking about drunk driving. Drunk driving, you got to go to jail. Okay.
right.
But I'm talking about innocent stuff.
Yeah.
You get caught. You didn't fix the red light in the back of your car for whatever reason. You're lying your face off, whatever the case may be. You went over the line at a stop street by mistake because you just weren't paying attention or whatever, and there you got $100 fine. You got to go to court. Blah, blah, blah.
But see, those don't count. I'm talking about the drug stuff.
Well, the drug stuff that's completely different. But it seems that you can't even turn left, and it's a serious thing these days.
Right.
I get what Tucker's saying. Yeah.
You can't.
But I'm
Right.
talking about the kid on
be
Friday
caught
night.
vaping at school.
Right.
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 But I'm talking about the kid
Right.
that is on a Friday night. He bought one joint because he's
Yep.
broke, and he gets caught with that. He's not a
Yep.
drug addict. He
Yep.
was out to have a good Friday night, but because of that charge, he can never be
Yep.
law enforcement.
That's
Right.
right.
That's what I'm saying. That those kids
Yeah.
learn from that mistake. They go on. They don't ever do drugs again, and they want to be a cop. If
Yeah.
they could have that chance, they'd probably be some of the best cops you'd ever have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I mean, because my husband wasn't the perfect kid, trust me. He
My
wasn't.
husband still isn't
Well,
a perfect kid.
That's what
Yeah.
develops character, right? Is
Right.
those
Mhm.
But it just
experiences.
seems to be that
Exactly.
today things are more serious, and it agitates people. You know, I have a friend of mine. No, I didn't even know this was true. I have a friend of mine. Do you guys have reserves there where the gas is a little cheaper and the cigarettes are a little cheaper? And you guys have those?
No.
Different states.
We have Indian
You
reserves.
mean Indian
Oh, yeah.
reservations?
Indian.
Yeah, we have that there. Here.
Yeah. So, anyways, a friend of my wife, my fake wife, a friend of my fake wife, she went, got some gas because it's like 10 cents cheaper or something. Well, who knows? Got some gas and bought a carton of cigarettes. Okay. And she's driving home on the street, and they have, like, you know, those random stops where the police are all lined up there. They gave her $140 fine. And she
For what?
Because she bought cigarettes off the reserve, which apparently we're not allowed to buy. I didn't know that.
Well, who are they going to sell them to?
I guess other Indians. I don't know.
Wow.
So, but that kind of stuff pisses people off. That's what I'm talking about. Those little.
Oh, exactly. Now, my husband has, you know, pulled a teenager over, and they had a roach clip or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, in their car, and he'll just throw it out. I mean, he's not, you know, under an ounce. It's not that big of a deal. Now, a drink, you know, if they had beer in the car that wasn't opened, no, he wouldn't do anything because he used to drink when he was underage. But, you know, small things like that. When my husband used to do traffic, he don't do it anymore. But when he used to do it, you know, he would give people warnings for tail lights and, you know, well,
you can't even do that anymore. I already tried that. I got stopped. I got stopped because my taillight was out, right? And I said, I just wanted to give you a warning, you know, that your taillight's out and whatever. Oh my God, I didn't know that. Jeez, I never even knew that. And he goes back to his computer because you have to run your license and all that stuff every single time. He goes, sir, you've been warned about the red like 3 other times.
Yeah. And you know, that's how, you know, a tail light, you know, the thing is, people get mad when you get pulled over for that. But do you know how many tail lights that have been out and they've pulled the person over and they've had warrants for, like, domestic violence? Or that's how they catch those people, you know? So it's something they have to do, you know, in order to protect the community also. They don't
catch the Ted Bundys.
Right. Yeah. Or, you know, I'm going to tell y'all a real quick story and then I got to get off. But the other day here in town, there was a guy shoplifting in Walmart. Undergarments, mind you. Okay.
That's scary.
And so Walmart called the police, whatever. And the guy had a guy in the car out in the parking lot. So they arrested the guy for shoplifting, went out to the car or the truck or whatever. And the guy was in there and they're like, okay, let me see your, you know, license, whatever, ID. He gave it to him. And when they were at the car, they smelled pot. Okay, so they were like, well, do you mind if we search your truck? No, go ahead. Y'all, they got 64 pounds of marijuana.
It's not.
He had cocaine in there. They had $2,300 in cash. They had marijuana or THC lollipops, gummies. They had loose Xanax that they were selling, all this stuff over a man in their shoplifting underwear, guys.
Wow.
And it's like,
he didn't care if they searched his truck.
Nope.
I have one for you. I have one for you.
Over underwear, his dealer is going to be upset.
Yeah.
Right?
I've got a good one for you, Leo wife. My ex-husband was working detectives. He was headed to Vinton, Louisiana. Bob's passed him, little late model Mercedes. Dude had a ponytail. Clearly, okay, they've been taught how to profile by the FBI. My ex-husband will argue that. I don't care. It's still profiling. So he goes zipping past him. Ex-husband pulls him over in an unmarked vehicle. And he gets out and he starts talking to him. Where you been? Where you going? Been to New Orleans, been gambling, headed back to Houston. No, he's from Dallas, Fort Worth area. He said, okay. He said, do you mind if I, look in your search car? Sure, no problem. Looks in there, opens up the trunk. He's got a couple of suitcases. One of the suitcases is locked. He said, can you unlock that suitcase for me? He said, nope. He said, okay, you're not giving me permission to search that suitcase. Nope. Okay. Gets on his radio, calls back home, gets the K9 unit out, and some more detectives. They come out. Sure enough, dog popped on that suitcase. $80,000 in that suitcase. We were gambling.
It's crazy.
So he brings him. He gets radio back from, or phone call back from the sheriff's department. Narcotics. Bring him here. Do not let him go. Brought him back. FBI has been working this guy for a couple of years. He has no viable means of income. Owns 2 airplanes, small, prop airplanes, and owns a huge, like 100-acre ranch.
Not anymore.
500,000. Exactly. As a matter of fact, Leo, he looked at the little guy that wrote the seizure laws in Lake Charles, Louisiana. That's where he's from, Randy Johnson. He said, so you're a pilot? He said, yeah, I am. We're all proud about it, right? He said, so you need to know when to take off and when to land and everything. He said, yeah, you gotta be on time with the towers and whatnot. He goes, yeah, you can hand me that Rolex. That's part of your drug dealing. So we now own your Rolex. Thank you and have a nice day.
They own everything. It's crazy.
They had some guys come in to try to bail him out with cash, no less. And when they asked them to prove where the cash was, they said, oh, we'll get the receipt out in the car. They never came back, left the cash there.
Wow.
It's crazy, and it's amazing what people, will do. And it's like, dude, you had all this cash. I mean, you couldn't pay your dealer back for the underwear. I mean, come on. I mean, how stupid can you be, to do a petty, a misdemeanor?
Oh,
and
y'all
end up being a freaking felon.
Well, you know what I think the thing is, though, guys? I think that Evelyn had it kind of coined before. There needs to be some kind of balance, and that is so,
absolutely,
because if you stop 25 innocent people, and you just more or less irritate them, but at the end of the day, you get that one big one. The 20 people are still bitching at you because you stopped them for no reason. I think,
for something small,
right?
And, everybody has a bad day, and that's the thing. You can get pulled over, and nobody wants to get pulled over. I would even get nervous getting pulled over, and I'm a cop's wife, so like for speeding or running a red light or a stop sign, whatever. But I guess in the back of your mind, though, you always have to just think it's their job. And just like you do your job every day, they have a job to do. And
but doesn't it feel somehow, just think of it this way, though, Leo, doesn't it seem somehow oppressive?
Like,
no, because it's the law.
It would be more oppressive to have no laws.
No. You're a woman, or a guy. You're driving home from your shift at 2 a.m. in the morning. And, it's dark out, and you cross the line at a stop sign for whatever reason, and then you see the lights. It's like, fuck me. Like, doesn't it seem a little bit too much? I don't know. It
does in a sense, but it also, I look at it as, what if my child is out, driving home from work at 2 in, and that person that went above, ran that stop sign just happened to have one too many to drink, and he hits the child head on.
Tucker, I have a question for you. Were you harassed as a young adult by the police? Did they give you a hard time?
No, they would rat me out.
At first,
they would rat me out.
So my daughter is half Hispanic. She is a dark. I am pale as just like 10 minutes in the sun, and I'm sunburned. I am super pale, and my daughter is. Obviously, you can see my picture. But my daughter is half Hispanic, and she is dark. And we often get into these heated discussions because I'm telling you, her perception of the police is very different than mine. I think it has to do with age, but I have to be honest. I think it has to do with race. I mean, it really is her perception.
I think you're right.
And watched a lot more.
Really?
Going into stores, she feels like people watch her to make sure she's not shoplifting.
Really?
Her experience of the world. And I'm Tucker, just hearing you talk reminds me of my brother. And of course, he was as white as I am. He's passed on now, but he had experiences like that with the police when he was a young adult.
No, well,
I will say this.
I thought you meant when I was older. No, when I was younger.
not that racism or profiling like that is ever acceptable. However, my ex-husband worked the Barry Seals trial, and after dealing with that, he looked at different races differently.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there was a whole lot. I mean, he worked hard to not view that way, but you know what they did to this guy and what the culture of the Mexican cartels is such that, you know, he stops for a second and then says, okay, you know, chill. This is not what you're looking at, and goes on about his day. But there's that initial click that he would readily admit happens after having to deal with that case.
That's good.
So,
and any
profiling on many
any
different
intervention on my part when I was younger was laughable, like literally laughable. I would get away with nothing. And we would race cars down like Main Street downtown Toronto when we could. We would race, we would race down stoplight to stoplight. We would do shit like that.
Yeah, my brother.
And we'd have other things like they're called quarry parties, where you know those holes that they dig out just for dirt and gravel and stuff like that. We would park our cars there and have bonfires and parties and get raided and all kinds of
we did too.
Yeah, that's when I was younger. But
beer bong parties.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that kind of stuff. I mean, you can't do that shit today. You can't.
I have to be honest, because when I get pulled over, I don't think my heart rate increases at all.
Really?
Seriously.
No, when I see a cop car, I automatically feel guilty.
Honestly, I think I've gotten pulled. I've been driving, I don't know, 30 years. Mm-hmm. And I've been pulled over maybe twice. Mm-hmm. And gotten 2 tickets. They were both for speeding. I have to be honest.
Do you kind of feel like you're due because you've gotten away with it for so long that
just had that negative experiences for it to, you know, I just feel like they're out doing their jobs. My daughter, on the other hand, has had other experiences.
Uh-huh.
Well, the only bad thing that happened to me that I had to pull some punches was when I got out of the hospital. I didn't even know this, but apparently they suspend your license automatically at the hospital.
Wow.
For whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And as soon as I got out, I couldn't wait to drive my car. And I was driving, and for whatever reason, I couldn't actually tell how fast it was going. And I blasted by a road stop, you know, where they're all parked and stuff like that.
Damn.
Right by them, doing like 140 kilometers an hour. And I got stopped, and he goes, "You know how fast you were going, sir?" And I said, "No,
no idea."
And then he goes, "Okay, well, you know." I said, "Well, listen, I just got out of the hospital, and I got a heart transplant." Lifted my shirt, and everything.
Did it help?
No. Well, yeah, it did. Because he goes back to his car. He goes, "You know, the hospital suspended your license for like 10 days or something like that." I said, "I have no idea. That must be a mistake." He let me go. I did get
That's awesome.
But he let me go just the same. But I mean, I could have been, you know.
You could have got a steep fine.
I could have got one, but that's the only time. But stuff like that I find is laughable. And but I agree that I think defunding is not the solution. Redistribution is the answer. I believe, and you'll never at this stage. You know, even my own kids are in their mid-20s to 30s. Okay, they actually have the same attitude that we don't like. Oh, well, please stop me. I'm for a traffic ticket. I'm going to do this and going to. No, you're not. And if you do, you're an idiot. You know, they have that attitude. The boys, especially.
Yeah.
But I have a question for Evelyn. You know, you said that person had a feeling of inadequacy. I wonder if that's an internal thing or an external thing. Like she feels that. Where do you lay the blame on something like that?
What person?
The person you were talking about that we walk into Walmart and she feels like everybody's looking at her. And
I think you're talking about my daughter.
Yes.
Oh, your daughter. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I think that's been her. I think I think it's both. I think she's at that age. You know, she's at that very awkward age. Of trying to.
Kind of sad for her to think that way.
Yeah, but I think that probably too, she has had very real experiences based on her skin color that's been different than mine. You know.
Yep.
And that's sad to me, but it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really see that here. Like
My husband was the exact opposite. He was the only white kid in a huge community.
Yeah.
He was the only white kid at his school for the longest. And so he's seen it from a different point of view than I have. And we've had some really good and interesting discussions about that.
Yeah. That's sad that people would feel that way, though. You know, really.
I know that inadequate is the word. I think it's that she feels like people are, watching her. I feel like she thinks that she's being monitored and observed, and she
kind of profiled.
Yeah.
There's a guy that goes around on YouTube, a young African American guy. He goes into stores just to catch people watching him like that, and it's really funny because he gets them in the camera and he goes, "Oh, she's watching me. She's watching me." But you can imagine. You can imagine having someone,
like security. You mean?
Yeah, see that by this, or just the regular workers. They think.
Oh, to see if he's being profiled.
Yeah, they think that if you look a certain way or you're different than them, that you might possibly be stealing something. Yeah, it's a shame that people do that. It is.
I had go back to the early '80s, late '70s. I was profiled. I had not on my first car. My first car was only a $400 Pinto.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got a Z28 T-top.
There you go.
Getting off work after working, of course, I had the long tunnel perm. I always had to pull back on the job, let that down, open up that T-top, rock it out on your way home. You got pulled over every damn fucking time.
I got pulled over a lot in mine too. Yeah.
You could count on it. I had harassment charges on one officer because he continued doing it. He knew my work shift, this and that and the other. But then I got to know a lot of police officers.
Yeah.
And so everything was kosher.
Yeah, but I didn't get tickets in my Escort, but when I went to high school, my dad helped me get an IROC Z. So when I started, I had the same kind of thing. It's like they're mad at you because you had a nice car or something.
Well, you know, I think stuff like that, Simon, is all based on it's historical, but the next generation or the one that's coming up, whatever, it's all about education. It really is about education. I mean, you can't educate somebody. I don't care what color you are. You cannot educate somebody. If you've been persecuted yourself, or you feel you've been as a race or whatever, even as someone from another country, if you feel that you've been persecuted, you can't educate someone else by persecuting someone. You're persecutors.
Yeah.
Right? Or like it doesn't work that way. It's either love everybody, treat them equally, or the next generation is going to have the same bullshit. You know,
I've heard from more foreign nurses than not. Well, I've heard more often from foreign nurses that America is one of the most nasty, vile, sinful countries on the planet. And my question is, why are you here?
Yeah, well, that's a good question.
Hey guys, Jenna Moon is going live soon. Like 7 minutes ago, and she's doing some crime. So I thought maybe we could hop off and go support her channel.
Let's go raid her.
I do need to jump down.
I don't mean to kick everybody off panel, but she comes in here, supports me every day.
No, we'll stay here. You go, Carla.
No, I love.
Can you put the link in the side chat for me?
No, I don't mean to be rude.
Yes, can we please put
Jenna's been very helpful with this channel, and it's kind of like a sister channel. So
she's really helped me out a lot. So
can we put her link in
for the record?
Can someone throw in the link if you guys want to check out her channel?
She just spoke up and said she's not going till 12, but I do need to jump down off her as much as
I got to go and get ready because I have to run to the store. So
I can't.
I just want to thank my panel guests, Simon, Brian, Evelyn, Leo wife, Tucker, for coming up today. I really
don't
appreciate
thank me.
that.
I'm going to do 16 hangouts on you because you shut the chat down.
Hey, I like it.
I'm not used to it. Jenna, can you post your link in here so anybody that doesn't have your channel link can go over there?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I
like
can't
when
go
we
to
have
her.
good, informative
go to
adult
her.
conversations like this on YouTube. Yeah, I
No.
encourage
Yeah.
people to continue to do that.
And thank you to all the mods. Thank you for your awesome
Yes,
job.
yes, you did a great job. I
Best
really
jobs.
appreciate that.
Okay.
Best
mods on
ever.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Jenna Moon. Jenna.
All right. Well, thank you for letting me come up, and I will see y'all later.
Okay, I'll see you over probably over at Jenna's.
All right. Yep. I'll be over there.
All right.
All
See
right,
you later.
guys.
See you
All
guys.
right. Bye, guys.
Ciao.
Be good to each other.
Yes, we love you all. Thank you. I
Love and
really
love.
support the support. Thank you, Tucker,
See you, baby.
for coming up.
Thank you, Simon.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
Evelyn.
Thank
Bye,
you,
everybody.
Evelyn.
Evelyn.
Bye.
Bye.